Chapter 12:27. My array formation skills have improved, but it's still not enough. We'll talk about it later. Otherwise, I'll have to ask my master for help. I don't want to trouble my master, Night Sorrow said. Yes, Seven Nights City is stable now. You don't have to worry. The Bloodstrike guards are watching the teleportation array. If anyone tries to cause trouble, they'll be killed. Datura nodded. She understood Night Sorrow's character from his information. He wasn't willing to ask for help. Luo, Seven Nights City is actually secondary. What I really care about is Clear Sky City. You know that I have the supreme attribute. The core of the world I refined is the supreme origin. The 9-domain world will become a supreme world in the future, Night Sorrow said. You're saying that not only do you have the supreme attribute, but the 9-domain world's origin you control is also the void origin? Datura was shocked. She knew that Night Sorrow had the void attribute and that Night Sorrow was a realm lord. However, she didn't expect the 9-domain world's origin to be the supreme origin. Yes, the origin of the 9-domain world wasn't the supreme origin. It's like this. Night Sorrow explained how he refined the origin of the void space and used it to repair the 9-domain world. He also explained how the origin of the two worlds merged. So that's how it is. Your idea is correct. Clear Sky City, where the origin of the 9-domain world manifests, needs to be protected. There's a great array guarding it. Seven Nights City can only be considered a gateway, not the core. Datura still couldn't calm down. Currently, in the Great Thousand World, experts were as common as clouds. However, there were very few realm lords. Even if there were, they were in ordinary worlds. There were no high-level realm lords. Night Sorrow was now the realm lord of a supreme world. This was too shocking. Yen Tianpa was the realm lord of the Wuji world. However, the Wuji world was only the core origin of a fire attribute world. After chatting with Datura, Night Sorrow rested for a while. He drank some wine and entered the dragon cauldron. He hid the dragon cauldron in the white fur on the ice cheelant's neck and let the ice cheelant advance along the profound ice river. Safe. The ice cheelant was a native demonic beast of the ice dragon realm. Ordinary demonic beasts would not attack them. At most, they would chase them away. Demonic beasts had their own territories. If other demonic beasts entered their territories without permission, they would be expelled. If they didn't leave, they would have to fight to the death. Night Sorrow was controlling the ice cheelant. Under such circumstances, how could Night Sorrow not let the ice cheelant retreat? Datura's original body stayed in the city in the sky. Every day, she would play with Datura and Qin Yen. With her taking care of the two children, Yu Qing and the others were relieved. They all knew that in the future, Datura would be Night Sorrow's woman. They were all family, so it was better to be close to the children. Everyone knew what kind of status Datura had. He didn't put on any airs, so it was rare for him to get along with everyone. This made Yu Qing, Sikong Chuyu, and the others feel relieved. No one wanted an unstable factor in their family, especially one that they couldn't control. If Datura was capricious, who could control him at home? Night Sorrow couldn't control him either. After all, he was so strong. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, Aoi, and the others were all in the city in the sky. Night Sorrow used the time and space pagoda in the Samsara Palace. They were studying realms and fighting techniques. When he saw that there was something wrong with everyone's cultivation or something they needed, Datura would say that he had a vision. A few words from him would be a clear path. Night Sorrow stayed in the dragon cauldron. He also used his soul power to explore. If there were good ores, he could still find them. The way of heaven was fair. The climate in the ice dragon realm was harsh. Some plants, which were natural treasures needed for alchemy, were rare. However, there were more top-grade ores. After a few days, Night Sorrow had a big harvest. He obtained a reincarnation stone, which was the material for the reincarnation blade. This made Night Sorrow very happy. Now that his original body was busy cultivating, there was no battle, so he didn't deal with the reincarnation stone. In fact, the reincarnation stone still had a lot of room for improvement. Lin Yuandao helped Night Sorrow to upgrade the reincarnation stone. At that time, it was a spiritual weapon. Later, after being nourished by the heaven-sealing Great Hall, it absorbed the divine weapon Qi in the 9 regions origin Qi and became a king weapon. However, in the end, the refinement was very rough. The formations that Lin Yuandao carved in the reincarnation stone were all ordinary formations. Not to mention king-level formations, they weren't even saint-level formations. However, if Night Sorrow wanted to upgrade the reincarnation stone, he needed materials. The reincarnation stone to upgrade the strength of the blade was very important. Now that he had obtained the reincarnation stone, it was very important for Night Sorrow. In addition, under Night Sorrow's thinking, the Ice Qilin also knew about battles. It would kill some demonic beasts that provoked it. Night Sorrow realized that the Ice Qilin was a little dull at the beginning. It was an eyesore. However, after a battle, its combat power was extremely strong. Some 3-star king-level demonic beasts were easily killed. Night Sorrow felt that the Ice Qilin relied on its tyrannical body and valiant fighting style. Even a 4-star king-level demonic beast might not be its opponent. During the journey, the Ice Qilin was chased away twice. Because the other party was strong, Night Sorrow told the Ice Qilin not to resist and to take a detour after leaving the other party's territory. Easy. Night Sorrow knew that the Ice Qilin was leading him. The reason it was so smooth was because the Ice Qilin was a native beast. As long as the Ice Qilin was willing to back down, the other high-level beasts wouldn't kill him. If it were him, the Lord-level beasts would directly attack. They wouldn't stop until they were dead. When Datura was free, he would chat with Night Sorrow. However, he did so behind others' backs. He didn't want Night Sorrow's family to worry. When Night Sorrow wasn't around, Datura went to the lake. Every time he went to the lake, he would chat with Night Sorrow. In the Azure Sky Pavilion, the Qing Emperor and Xian Daozi were talking. Datura had almost killed Zhang Taiyang. This was something that the Qing Emperor and Xian Daozi had seen with their own eyes. Zhang Taiyang had paid a high price to redeem one of his arms. This matter was also known by the Qing Emperor's secret agents. Datura is really strong now. Zhang Taiyang has kicked an iron plate this time. Xian Daozi said. In the past, there were strong and weak powerhouses among the powerhouses. However, it was impossible for anyone to kill anyone. Therefore, there was a balance. No one would force anyone into a corner. If they were forced into a corner, they would act recklessly. Everyone had their misgivings. However, Datura doesn't have this concern now because she has the strength to kill a Sky Master. This time, she didn't want to go too far. If she wanted to go too far and continue to chase, Zhang Taiyang wouldn't even dare to return to Sky Seizing Island. The leader of the northern district of the world of reincarnation would have changed hands. The Qing Emperor said. Chapter 4, Previous chapter. In the past, Datura wasn't this strong. It was only after meeting Night Sorrow that she became so fierce. Is there a connection between the two? If he has a way to help Datura increase her strength, it wouldn't make sense if he didn't help His Majesty. Xian Daozi said. This was what he was thinking. He felt that he had to say it out loud. What nonsense are you spouting? If I hadn't come to find His Majesty, would it be your fault if there was a conflict between His Majesty and His Majesty? Summer City, who had just arrived at the Azure Sky Pavilion, glared at Xian Daozi. Chapter 12:28. Xian Daozi did not say anything. He knew that if Summer City said this, then there must be a reason. He knew what kind of person Summer City was. He would not speak carelessly. Look at the chapters in the F and. Upper QV, Qing Emperor also looked at Summer City. Because Summer City said this, it was obvious that he knew something. Summer City looked at Qing Emperor and did not say anything. Then if you know something, why don't you say it? Xian Daozi asked. Summer City, Xian Daozi, we have been brothers for many years. There is no problem. Qing Emperor nodded at Summer City. Soul cultivation liquid. His Highness has soul cultivation liquid. His Highness asked me a long time ago. He knew that both Your Majesty and I have used soul cultivation liquid before, so he did not say anything. Datura has not used it before, so there is room for improvement, Summer City said. So that is the case. Datura is talented. Without using soul cultivation liquid, he is on par with us. Now that he has used soul cultivation liquid, he will naturally surpass us. Qing Emperor nodded. Your Majesty, I cannot betray Your Highness. I cannot report everything to Your Majesty. But in Your Highness' words, he has never betrayed Master or the Empire, Summer City said. I understand. I can understand. Who doesn't have a bit of desire? It's good that he chose the right path. He's very much like me. I cultivate the way of a gentleman, while he cultivates his heart and morals. Xian Daozi, don't say anything inappropriate in the future. I trust him completely, said Emperor Qing, looking at Xian Daozi. Xian Daozi bowed and nodded. Summer City, you did the right thing. In the future, if Night Sorrow encounters anything difficult, you just have to tell me. You don't have to report anything else to me. He should have his own world. Qing Emperor said to Summer City. I understand. Since Your Highness calls me Uncle Xia, I will take good care of him. I will not let him go down the wrong path. Summer City bowed. What brings you here today? Qing Emperor asked. No, Your Highness is not in the Ninechong Pagoda. I just wanted to come back and have some tea with Your Highness and Xian Daozi, Summer City said. All you do is spend all day with Your Little Highness. You even know to come back for tea. Xian Daozi gave Summer City a disdainful look. What's wrong? Don't call him Little Highness. I don't like the sound of that. His Highness Night Sorrow is young, but he's a big shot who controls an entire world. Although he's not as strong as you right now, he's much stronger than you in other aspects. Summer City glared at Xian Daozi. Xian Daozi, what Summer City said is right. We can't look at Night Sorrow like we're looking at a child. He has the right outlook on life and the right view of the world. There's nothing wrong with his leadership skills. What he lacks is strength. Time can make up for that, Qing Emperor said. What are you standing there for? Make the tea. Summer City pointed at the teapot. You want to drink tea? Can't you make it yourself? Xian Daozi was furious. Summer City didn't give him any face. If I could make good tea myself, why would I come to the Azure Sky Pavilion to wait for you to make it? Summer City replied confidently. All right, Xian Daozi, make the tea. Summer City and Sandalwood are the same in this regard. The tea they make is unpalatable, Qing Emperor said with a smile. This was innate. The way of tea was a display of one's personality and temperament. Without a calm and stable state of mind, one couldn't play the way of tea well. Sandalwood couldn't do it, and Summer City couldn't do it either. His Highness has already said it. What are you waiting for? Hurry up, Summer City muttered. After Xian Daozi made the tea, Summer City held the teacup and slowly sipped it. Xian Daozi, bring Sheng Guanhong in. Qing Emperor nodded to Xian Daozi. At that moment, Sheng Guanhong arrived outside the Azure Sky Pavilion. Sheng Guanhong entered the Azure Sky Pavilion. After bowing to Qing Emperor, he looked at Summer City. What kind of world is this now? Aren't all vulgar people drinking tea? How can they taste tea now? Old man, who are you calling vulgar? You have a belly full of dirty tricks, yet you still have the face to call others vulgar? Everyone has to improve. Can't I, Summer City, be refined? Remember, you also need to improve. Don't put on a hypocrite face all day long. Be true to yourself, Summer City said, swirling the teacup in his hand. I came to drink tea with His Highness today. Meeting you really makes me lose my appetite. Shang Guanhong pointed at Summer City. He wanted to retort, but he didn't think it was appropriate. He just looked at him with disdain. Shangguan, Xian Daozi, you have to admit that Summer City has really improved. In the past, you would have slammed the table, but now he's sitting very steadily. A few words from him are enough to make you feel suffocated, Qing Emperor said. Xian Daozi looked at Summer City and nodded. Shang Guanhong could only turn his head and admit it, because Summer City had indeed changed. Your Highness, don't say that. Your subordinate just looked at His Highness. No matter how angry he was, he didn't say anything rude. He was as steady as Mount Tai. I felt that he was very imposing, so I tried to learn. Summer City was embarrassed by Qing Emperor's words. You've been by my side for countless years, but you can't learn the way of a gentleman. Knight Sorrow is true to his nature. You have something in common, so you can feel it. This is a good thing. Qing Emperor nodded. The four of them drank tea. Shang Guanhong still liked to tease Summer City when he had nothing to do, but Summer City's emotionless retort made him feel very uncomfortable. Qing Emperor just smiled. The three of them were his old brothers. He was very gratified that their quarrel didn't hurt their friendship. This was because he valued brotherhood very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so angry last time. Knight Sorrow continued to advance steadily every day. However, at night, he would set up camp and teach Ice Qilin how to fight. Other than that, he would also instill some worldviews. Fortunately, Ice Qilin was simple, but its intelligence wasn't a problem. It understood all the concepts that Knight Sorrow instilled. When Knight Sorrow rested, Ice Qilin would cultivate. After advancing for a month, Ice Qilin advanced. It should have been an epiphany. Its cultivation directly rushed from a 3-star king to a 4-star king. Talent. Knight Sorrow could only be envious. Talented demonic beasts were indeed powerful. Take Tianyu and Yimei for example. They didn't have any bottlenecks when advancing. After advancing, Ice Qilin became even more powerful. Its body also grew a little bigger. When it stood up, it was more than 6 meters tall. Knight Sorrow worked hard every day. The Ice Dragon world was very big. There was no teleportation array. It would take a long time to reach the core area of the Ice Dragon world. However, Knight Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. His original body was increasing his chi cultivation in the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda. His clone couldn't do anything. He just had to pay attention to his safety and advance slowly. While advancing, Knight Sorrow also studied array formations. After knowing that Knight Sorrow had obtained the corpse of the profound Ice Qilin Tiger King, Datura found some array formation books for Knight Sorrow. He handed them to Knight Sorrow's clone in the Sky Ceiling Great Hall. Knight Sorrow's 2 clones were now studying and deducing array formations. Array formations were broad and profound. Without a good state of mind and endurance, it was impossible to study array formations. However, Knight Sorrow didn't lack either. Knight Sorrow mainly studied the ancient array diagram that Datura had given him. The 9 underworld slaughtering god array was indeed domineering. Chapter 1229. The mystical Ice Kirin Tiger King was an ice-type beast, but it was not restricted to only setting up ice-type formations. With it as the core, any formation could be set up. Of course, it was not suitable for fire-type formations. Knight Sorrow was not in a hurry. It was still early, and he could take his time to study it. Ice Qilin and Knight Sorrow's communication was becoming more and more tacit. Ice Qilin could carry out any of Knight Sorrow's orders, and his combat techniques were becoming more and more proficient. Disregarding everything else, Ice Qilin's combat strength was astonishing just by relying on his tyrannical body. Knight Sorrow did not know how the other teams were doing, but he felt that with Ice Kirin's help, they should be able to get close to the center of the ice dragon world. As they moved forward, there were often beasts blocking their way. Ice Kirin needed to fight, and after going through battles, its aura became fiercer and fiercer. However, when it talked to Night Sorrow, it was still very docile. At this moment, Li Tianba was talking to his son in the beast-like Black Fiend Palace in the Black Fiend Valley. Li Ying had already reported to Li Tianba what happened last time. He knew that it was the dark abyss that made him suffer a great loss. If there's one person you can't mess with in the reincarnation world, it's the Dark Lord Datura. His strength has already broken the balance. Zhan Taiyang, the island lord of Duotian, was almost killed by him. The other Sky Masters are also in the same situation when facing him. So even if you lose out, you have to accept it. If you anger him, your father and your uncle will not be able to protect you. Li Tianba's eyes were filled with unwillingness. Everyone wanted to be an overlord, and he had been working hard all this time. When he saw Datura's strength, he felt a great impact on his heart. He also felt helpless. At the level of a Sky Master, it was very difficult to increase one's strength because one's realm and cultivation had reached a bottleneck. So, it was unrealistic for Li Tianba to surpass Datura. Father, isn't Night Sorrow the Qing Emperor's disciple? Why did Datura suddenly interfere? He even said that he would protect the world that Night Sorrow was born in. That is something that I do not understand, Li Ying said. Things in the eastern district of the world of Samsara are more complicated. When there are no external enemies, Datura, the Qing Emperor, and the Red Emperor often fight against each other. But when there are external enemies, the three of them will unite against the external enemies. In short, this matter is temporarily put aside. Even if they can't put it aside, they can only act secretly. Li Tianba did not dare to provoke Datura, nor did he want to provoke the Qing Emperor. This time, when Li Ying went to the Qing Emperor's dynasty to cause trouble, the Qing Emperor sent out a wave of assassinations. The Black Fiend Valley suffered great losses. Father, I plan to go to the Samsara Palace for closed-door training to see if there is a chance to reach a higher level, Li Ying said. New fastest up, go. If you can fully comprehend your will, the overall strength of the Black Fiend Valley will far surpass that of other forces. Li Tianba nodded. Li Ying nodded and left. After returning to his mansion, he called for Li Kai, whose strength was weakened because his doppelganger was killed. Send out spies to observe Night Sorrow, but don't do anything. Li Kai nodded and went to do it. He knew that Li Ying had not given up, but he could not do something too blatantly now. After giving instructions, Li Ying left. His original body went to the Samsara Palace to cultivate, and his doppelganger could still handle some things. Night Sorrow moved forward every day, and occasionally chatted with Datura. The core area of the Ice Dragon realm was not something that could be reached in a short time. Even if the Ice Qilin was extremely fast, it still could not be reached. The main reason was that the high-level world was too big and its area was too wide. Night Sorrow did not feel tired. He stayed in the Dragon Cauldron every day, and used his soul power to investigate the situation. If there were any precious ores, he would collect them. As the days passed, Night Sorrow's Jinqi continued to rise. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. However, Night Sorrow confirmed from the map that he had only covered part of the journey, and was still far from reaching the core area. During the year, Night Sorrow's harvest was not small. He collected a lot of ores, and all of them were of the highest quality. It should be known that the last time the Ice Dragon realm appeared was tens of millions of years ago, and the people who came there were only exploring in danger. There were many areas that were unexplored. During the year, Night Sorrow's Jinqi cultivation had reached the 2-star king realm. With the acceleration of the pagoda of time and space, and with enough resources, he increased his cultivation by 1 level in 20 years. This was a shocking speed, because many people, even if their realm was high enough, would need to cultivate for many years before their cultivation could catch up. Resources were a problem that everyone worried about. Of course, cultivators with high status and good backgrounds did not have to worry about this problem. Night Sorrow had accumulated a lot of origin spiritual liquid and a reserve of Holy Spirit stones, so he did not have the disadvantage of lacking resources. As his Jin Chi cultivation increased, Night Sorrow's Great Emperor Reincarnation/'s power increased. After all, the Great Emperor Reincarnation/ was based on void energy, laws, and will. Every night, after setting up camp, Night Sorrow would cultivate his battle skills, the Void Extreme Kill, and the Great Emperor Reincarnation/. Night Sorrow, you're really good. You can really endure loneliness, Datura said once again. I've only been here for a year. Others have lived for tens of millions of years. Only those who have lived for hundreds of millions of years can endure loneliness, Night Sorrow said with a smile. What age is that? You're used to it. You're still young, so it's good that you have such patience, Datura said. It's Yujun's and Qingyan's birthday. You said that I was in seclusion. No one suspected anything, right? Night Sorrow asked after taking a sip of wine. They miss you a lot, but I told them that you were in seclusion. So, they didn't ask any more questions, but they were disappointed, Datura said helplessly. I don't know how long it'll take for me to go back. I can't help it. Night Sorrow felt uncomfortable when he heard that his son and daughter were disappointed. How about this? Go home with your original body this year and then go to the Reincarnation Palace to cultivate. That way, the children will be happier, Datura said. Okay, then I'll make the best use of my time and try my best to increase my cultivation. The next time it's their birthday, I'll definitely go back, Night Sorrow said. You have to be steady. Increasing your cultivation isn't something that can be done in a day or two, Datura reminded Night Sorrow. I know. Don't worry. My cultivation level is high enough, and my understanding of will is high enough. As long as I increase my chi cultivation, it won't be a big problem. Night Sorrow was very confident about this. Datura nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow's state of mind was fine. Then, Night Sorrow rode on the ice Qilin and continued forward. One day, just as they were about to rest, Night Sorrow discovered that the spiritual energy in front of them was very dense. A mine. Night Sorrow's heart trembled. He knew that he had encountered a mine, a very large one. After a few more steps, Night Sorrow found out the reason. Above the mine was a cracked sky. All sorts of violent auras and energy descended from the sky. This was the reason why the mine was filled with spiritual energy. Night Sorrow held the space splitter and blasted a hole in the ice mountain. He let the ice Qilin guard the hole while he dug inside. Chapter 12:30. But in fact, after Night Sorrow went in, the ice Qilin couldn't stay outside. It slammed its body into the hole that Night Sorrow dug and then went in. The ice Qilin's body was big and couldn't fit into the hole that Night Sorrow dug, but the mountain wall couldn't withstand its strength. It slammed its body and followed Night Sorrow into the hole. Night Sorrow was speechless. The ice Qilin was a little clingy and kept following him. Night Sorrow didn't say anything and could only continue digging. The ice Qilin kept expanding the tunnel behind him. After digging for a few feet, Night Sorrow took a deep breath. All he saw were top-grade spirit stones. There were top-grade spirit stones in the periphery. Night Sorrow was sure that after digging for a bit, there would be holy spirit stones. Ice Qilin, slam into it. It was tiring to dig. Night Sorrow shouted at the ice Qilin and then communicated with the dragon cauldron to let the weapon spirit collect the spirit stones. The ice Qilin roared and began slamming its body against the mountain wall of the spirit stone mine. After the spirit stones fell from the stones, they flew into the dragon cauldron. The dragon cauldron was collecting them, and Night Sorrow's sky splitter kept attacking. The spirit stones were dug out very quickly. It could be said that the ice Qilin was moving the spirit stones into the dragon cauldron for Night Sorrow and the ice Qilin. As they dug, Night Sorrow and the ice Qilin had more space to move around. Although they had entered the ice mountain, the light was very good and the place was full of sparkling crystals. Night Sorrow was resting. When he was drinking tea, the concentric crystal in his sleeve vibrated. Night Sorrow took out the concentric crystal and went in with Datura Datura. What's going on? Are all these sparkling crystals? Datura Datura asked in surprise. That's right. I'm going to be rich this time. In just a short while, I got more than 10,000 Holy Spirit stones. I just started digging, Night Sorrow said with a smile. I do have a lot of Holy Spirit stones, but I haven't dug them out myself. You're giving me a great sense of accomplishment. Datura Datura's eyes were filled with envy. Based on the density of the spirit chi, I estimate that we'll get at least a few 100,000 spirit chi. This job will take some time, Night Sorrow said as he turned to look at the walls of the catacombs. It's easy for you to say that. No one would complain about digging for too long. Datura Datura looked at Night Sorrow with disdain. In fact, this job wasn't easy. If it weren't for the help of the Ice Qilin and the Dragon Cauldron's weapon spirit, he would have taken a long time to dig. Now that the Ice Qilin's body had crashed into the mountain wall, the Dragon Cauldron had collected the Holy Spirit stones. After a few days of digging, Night Sorrow had filled an entire storage ring with Holy Spirit stones from the Dragon Cauldron. There were 200,000 Holy Spirit stones in the ring. With 200,000 Holy Spirit stones, the mine wasn't finished yet. Night Sorrow felt that there was still room for more. Half a month later, Night Sorrow had finished digging the mine. Night Sorrow had dug up 500,000 Holy Spirit stones. The quality of the Holy Spirit stones was very high. In addition, Night Sorrow had also found many supreme-grade ores in the core of the mine. However, the most valuable one was the Holy Spirit liquid that Night Sorrow had found at the bottom of the mine. Update, new, fastest. The Holy Spirit liquid and the Spiritual Origin liquid were similar in nature. In terms of rarity, the Spiritual Origin liquid was rarer because it could only be found in places with Spiritual Origin stones. However, the Holy Spirit liquid contained more energy and was suitable for King to improve his cultivation. After digging, Night Sorrow came out of the catacombs and stretched his waist. This was a mature high-level world. There were mature mines here, which were not found in ordinary spatial worlds. Night Sorrow had entered other spatial worlds before. However, the highest level of spiritual stones was supreme-grade spirit stones. There was a huge difference between the two. Night Sorrow knew that this was an opportunity. Even in a high-level world, mines that contained hundreds of thousands of Holy Spirit stones were extremely rare. Only the Ice Dragon world, which was the best of the high-level worlds, could nurture such a mine. After tidying up, Night Sorrow looked at the ice mountain behind him. The spirit chi was gradually decreasing. He flashed to the back of the Ice Qilin and continued forward. Night Sorrow knew that he wouldn't have to worry about Holy Spirit stones in the future. The speed at which he consumed Holy Spirit stones was extremely shocking. He was an array master and often set up arrays. It was normal for a large array to consume tens of thousands of Holy Spirit stones. Datura Datura was also very envious of Night Sorrow's adventure. She had never experienced something like this before. Aluo, go to that high-level world, which is the entrance to the Ice Dragon world, and check out the situation. If possible, I will go back once. Help me send the Holy Spirit liquid to the Samsara Palace. My original body will speed up its cultivation. This way, my cultivation and realm can match as soon as possible. I have a transmission array and can go back and forth quickly. Night Sorrow said as he shook the concentric crystal. Datura Datura naturally supported Night Sorrow's idea. She was most afraid that Night Sorrow would treat her as an outsider and not need her for anything. After half a day, Datura Datura shook the concentric crystal and told Night Sorrow that she had arrived at the high-level world at the entrance. Night Sorrow set up a transmission array and connected it with his own hidden transmission array. Then, he started the transmission. Returning to the vicinity of the entrance, Night Sorrow carefully checked that no one was squatting at the entrance. Then, he tore open the space and returned to the place where the group of people had gathered. Then, He handed the 2 bottles of Holy Spirit liquid to Datura Datura. Aluo, then I will go back and continue forward. Night Sorrow nodded to Datura Datura. Be careful. Datura Datura nodded to Night Sorrow. She knew that Night Sorrow had gained a lot, but he had also taken a great risk. After tearing open the space and returning to the Ice Dragon world, Night Sorrow took the transmission array back to the original position. He dismantled the transmission array and continued to explore forward. After moving forward for a while, Night Sorrow received a message from Datura Datura. She had arrived at the Samsara Palace. At this time, Night Sorrow's original body knew that his original body was not in deep seclusion. His soul was connected to his doppelganger's soul. After communicating with the Samsara Palace, Night Sorrow came out to collect the resources. Then, he went back and continued to cultivate. At present, Night Sorrow's original body was in charge of cultivating and improving his cultivation. His doppelganger took care of some trivial matters and created better conditions. Ice Qilin moved forward. Night Sorrow stayed in the Dragon Cauldron. It was not hard, but he had to constantly use his soul power to explore. Ice Qilin was very strong, but its tyrannical part was its body. Its soul power was not as good as Night Sorrow's. Night Sorrow and Ice Qilin's resting time had also decreased. They kept moving forward every day. In fact, they did not need to rest. Resting was just relaxing. Night Sorrow knew that they had 30 years. However, looking at the map now, they had only traveled less than 1/3 of the way. If they continued to walk and stop, it would take a few years to reach the central area. In addition, when they reached the central area, Night Sorrow would have to withdraw Ice Qilin and explore by himself. It was still very time-consuming. While his original body was cultivating, Night Sorrow planned to use his doppelganger to accompany his family. He could not spend all his time in the Ice Dragon world. Night Sorrow had always cherished everything he had now. Night Sorrow changed his route. He let Ice Qilin fly along the Mystic Ice River. He could walk in a straight line according to the map, but it was very dangerous. Many places were the territories of high-level demon beasts. It was better to follow the Mystic Ice River. Because the Mystic Ice River's water flow was fierce, it carried energy waves. If one did not pay attention, they would not find Ice Qilin. The days passed like this as they advanced. Battles were common. If a strong opponent appeared, Night Sorrow would have the Ice Qilin retreat. Otherwise, they would just kill. Dodging meant wasting time. Chapter 1231. While Night Sorrow was advancing, the 9 regions world was also shaking. The evil spirit king brought Sangjiang, the number 1 king, to attack the 9 regions world. They even broke the spatial barrier of the 9 regions world and entered the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow's clone in the Heaven's Sealing Great Hall used the empty spirit pearl given by the Qing Emperor to seal the evil spirit king and Sangjiang inside. The crisis of the 9 regions world was resolved, but the tribulation was not over yet. Because the evil spirit king and Sangjiang had to be killed, the 9 regions world would devour the evil spirit world to strengthen itself. There was no danger now, but it was still unable to advance. The evil spirit king was very disgusting. It was a man and a woman, and it was both yin and yang. Currently, Night Sorrow had no way to deal with it. The empty spirit pearl was able to suppress these two. Even though the clone from the Heaven's Sealing Great Hall had a sovereign king weapon and the source, it was still unable to kill the evil spirit king and Azure River. If he could ask someone else to do it, it would not be difficult to kill the disgusting evil spirit king. However, this matter had to be solved by the people of the 9 regions world. If Night Sorrow could not do it, then the people of the 9 regions world could not do it either. Night Sorrow's clone in the Heaven's Sealing Great Hall threw the empty spirit pearl into the Heaven's Sealing Great Hall to suppress it. Breakthrough. The Heaven's Sealing Great Hall kept reinforcing the empty spirit pearl with the origin of the 9 regions world, stabilizing the empty spirit pearl and suppressing it. There was no possibility of the evil spirit king and Sangjiang coming out. Q original P First Night Sorrow, who was far away in the Ice Dragon realm, felt at ease. The evil spirit king in Sungjiang had always been his worry. Even with the empty spirit pearl, Night Sorrow had never truly felt at ease. After all, there were many unstable factors. Now that the problem was solved, Night Sorrow celebrated by himself. He drank a jar of wine and continued forward. The main body used the Holy Spirit liquid to cultivate in the pagoda of time and space. Night Sorrow's clone could feel his true qi increasing rapidly. In the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Sandalwood returned with a woman. The woman was very delicate and had a spiritual aura. Sandalwood brought the woman to meet the Qing Emperor. Master, disciple is planning to get married. Sandalwood bowed. All right, she's called Yi, right? Actually, I already knew. Just pick an auspicious day and do it, the Qing Emperor said to Sandalwood and the woman she brought back. Thank you, Master, please keep it simple. Yi and I don't mind, said Sandalwood. That won't do. You are my first disciple, and Yi has been waiting for you for so many years. The wedding cannot be simple. It has to be grand. 5 million years ago, the world of samsara knew the name Sandalwood. 5 million years later, others also need to know the name. Qing Emperor rejected the idea of a simple wedding. Master and disciple were like father and son. He didn't want his disciples' wedding to be simple. Then I'll listen to Master. I'll go have a drink with junior brother later, Zhang said. I'm afraid you won't be able to see him for a while. His original body is cultivating in the Samsara Palace, and his doppelganger went to the Ice Dragon realm. He's really working hard, just like you back then. Some things are suppressed in his heart, and he's trying his best to improve his strength, the Qing Emperor said. Junior brother isn't here? Then I'm not in a hurry to get married. There are only a few important people in my world. Master didn't say anything, but junior brother must be here too. I can't lose anyone but junior brother, Sandalwood said. Then I'll listen to you. Xian Daozi, how's the construction of the heavy flower palace? The Qing Emperor asked. Soon. It will be completed soon, Xian Daozi bowed. Sandalwood, you don't need anything, and you don't care about anything. After you were reborn, I arranged for people to build a palace. This will be your wedding gift, the Qing Emperor said. Sandalwood nodded. He was very excited. The Qing Emperor was no different from a father in his heart. After all these years, he still hadn't given up on him. Master, when I came back, I saw the Qing Emperor's guards and the imperial city guards increasing their patrols. Is something the matter? Sandalwood recalled what he saw when he came back. Yes. Your junior brother has been in the limelight for a long time. Many people want to harm him. Something happened a while ago, so I sent people to reorganize the Qing Emperor's city. The Qing Emperor nodded. There are people who are stupid enough to cause trouble in the Qing Emperor's city? Sandalwood raised his eyebrows. Yes. It's not a force yet. It's mainly because some people are jealous of what Night Sorrow did, so there are some disputes. Xian Daozi explained what happened a while ago. They're really asking for it. They're bullying my junior brother because he's young and hasn't cultivated for long. Master, I'm going to kill them. What Black Fiend Valley? Others might be afraid, but I'm not afraid of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. I'm not afraid either. Sandalwood was furious when he heard that the 9-story tower was attacked. You don't have to worry about this. I've already taken care of it. You and Yi can relax for a while. Your past wasn't easy. Cherish the present and the future, the Qing Emperor said. He was very happy because his 2 disciples were as close as brothers. Sandalwood brought Yi back to a side courtyard next to the Qing Emperor's palace. It was his residence 5 million years ago. 5 million years had passed. Everything had changed, but this side courtyard was still the same. It was the residence of the eldest disciple. The Qing Emperor had always sent people to take care of it. I'm sorry. We had to wait for junior brother to get married. In my life, the three most important people are Master, Junior Brother, and you. Sandalwood looked at Yi and said. He gave you a chance to stand up again. He also gave us a chance. Although I haven't seen him before, I'm still very grateful. Yi said. Junior Brother's charisma is extremely high. He's a world overlord. I'll know once I see you. However, I don't know when that fellow will return. Let's go, we'll stay in the 9-story tower. The other princes all have their own palaces. In the future, we'll stay in the heavy flower palace. We'll stay in the side courtyard when we're free. Yi smiled and nodded. She knew that Sandalwood was just like what the Qing Emperor said. He didn't lack anything and didn't care about anything. He had such thoughts because of her. When they arrived at the 9-story tower, Sandalwood treated it like it was his own home. He directly called for Hichio to arrange a place for them to stay. After that, he brought Yi to the army camp. The army stationed in the 9-story tower was the Inping army. When the army commander, Ning, saw Sandalwood, he bowed. Knight Sorrow was the current commander and was someone he respected. Sandalwood was also someone he respected. Alright, there's no need to be so polite. Call them over for a drink. As for the new commanders, don't forget to call them over. Sandalwood said to Ning. Nu Lin, Qin Leitang, and the others came. However, Qi Wang didn't come. It wasn't that he didn't want to come. It was because of the military order. Knight Sorrow had said that the Heaven Tiger Pass must be guarded by a commander. This was an ironclad rule. The commander of the 9 Heavens army had to follow it. It's not suitable to lack one. Let's go to the Heaven Tiger Pass and drink in the commander's residence. I'm in a good mood today. Sandalwood said. Sandalwood, this is your fault. Why didn't you call me over for a drink? Summer City appeared. Chapter 1232. Uncle Summer, why are you so mysterious? I went to the hall just now and didn't see you. This is Uncle Summer. He has taught me before and is the most trusted person of our master. Jean Tan introduced. Bowed to the county seat. Very good, very good. Although your highness has gone through some hardships, it's time for you to start a family. We can't let you down. Summer City nodded. Uncle Summer, don't worry. I won't. Jean Tan nodded. Then let's go drink together and come back to study how to make tea. That hypocrite Sheng Guanhong keeps saying that I don't know how to make tea. I have to make it. Summer City lifted the tea bag in his hand and said. He had gone out to buy some good tea. Hee. Uncle Summer, let's make this together. Master said that I'm not calm enough and wants me to cultivate tea. Jean Tan said. Then let's do it together. That hypocrite is full of bad ideas. Who is he trying to attack by making tea? I don't believe we can't figure it out. Summer City said. Junior Brother is an expert in this field. It's a pity he's not here. Jean Tan was worried about Knight Sorrow. He knew about the Ice Dragon Realm and how dangerous it was. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was in the dragon cauldron on the back of the Ice Cheelant's neck. He was drinking tea and looking outside. The danger wasn't high. If the beasts came, he would fight. As for the teams that came in, Knight Sorrow felt that the chances of encountering them were low. He had followed the Mystic Ice River, which was one of the fastest routes. It had been more than a year, so the chances of encountering cultivators were low. But in fact, Knight Sorrow still encountered a team. A very despicable team led by a woman. When Knight Sorrow sensed the team and told the Ice Cheelan to change direction, the team began to chase after him at an extremely fast speed. Knight Sorrow naturally couldn't fight with them. There were more than 10 of them, and each of them had a higher cultivation than him. It would be dangerous if they caught up. Knight Sorrow commanded the Ice Cheelan to enter the Glacier River. He then asked the Ice Cheelan not to resist. Afterward, he used his soul power to collect the Ice Cheelan into the Dragon Cauldron. Afterward, he smashed the dragon cauldron into the bottom of the river. Since he couldn't outrun them, Night Sorrow could only hide. He didn't believe that they could find him because they were still some distance away. They wouldn't be able to see his movements clearly and wouldn't know how he hid. Night Sorrow had just hidden for a moment when this group of people also entered the profound ice river with their protective chi shields and began to search. "Senior sister, was that a mystic jade unicorn tiger?" a man asked. "Yes, it's also called a profound jade beast. According to the records, it's called a profound ice unicorn tiger. However, something's not quite right. The profound ice unicorn tiger has a violent temper and is fond of killing. It doesn't make sense for it to run away when it sees us. Moreover, it disappeared after entering the profound ice river," said the woman. "Let's search. If we can catch it, we can bring it back to the Shenwu Great World. It's also a rare treasure," said the man who spoke. "Our fortune gate needs this. The profound ice unicorn tiger is very difficult to tame, but as long as we can catch it and bring it back, it'll be fine. When a high-grade ice-attributed demonic beast dies, its body's energy will be sealed in ice and won't dissipate. We can use a secret method to extract its life force and turn it into a complete skeleton," the woman explained as she searched. How cruel. Their methods were also vile, directly extracting its life force and leaving it a complete skeleton. Night Sorrow hadn't thought that there would be such a cruel person. Killing it was one thing, but doing so was completely inhumane. After searching for a while, the group of people once again gathered at Night Sorrow's hiding place. "Senior sister, this shouldn't be the case. The profound ice unicorn tiger disappeared here, and then there was no aura or energy fluctuation," another man said. "It's a little strange. Let's go," the woman in the lead said. Night Sorrow kept probing with his soul force, and then smiled. Not only were these people inhumane, they were also very sinister. Although they said they were going, they were hiding not far from the shore. "Let's compete in patience then." Night Sorrow stayed inside the dragon cauldron, and slowly drank a pot of hot tea. The inside of the dragon cauldron was much more comfortable than the world of ice and snow outside. 2 days later, the group of people once again appeared at the bottom of the river to search. Dark holes, space tunnels, and the like, look for more. The profound ice unicorn tiger can't just disappear under our noses, the woman in the lead said. She was the granddaughter of the Fortune Gate's Grand Elder, Bai Yun. She came out this time to accumulate experience and slowly climb up the Fortune Gate's ranks. The profound jade unicorn tiger was a very good resource, and capturing it would be a great merit, but now it couldn't be found. Bai Yun also had a map in her hands. The Fortune Gate was very famous in the Shenwu Great World, and they were also very powerful, so it was normal for them to have a map of the Ice Dragon World. Bai Yun knew that there was a profound jade unicorn tiger in the profound ice river, but she didn't dare to go there because that was where the profound jade unicorn tigers lived. If she dared to swagger there, it was no different than seeking death. Therefore, she was very excited when she saw the profound jade unicorn tiger alone, but until now, she had found nothing. Patience, Night Sorrow didn't lack patience. Now that the enemy was in the light, and he was in the dark, all the opportunities were in his hands. He didn't need to do anything, he just needed to hide here and wait for Bai Yun and the others to leave. After searching for another day, Bai Yun gave up because there was no hope. Night Sorrow was a little depressed when he used his soul force to probe Bai Yun and the others moving along the profound ice river. This was equivalent to them taking the path he wanted to take. Night Sorrow wasn't willing to change their route because following the profound ice river would lead them to the Ice Dragon Abyss. The Ice Dragon Abyss was the core of the Ice Dragon world, and it wasn't far from the Ice Dragon ancestral land. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided to follow them and let them lead the way. It was safer for him to stay at the back. Although Night Sorrow's cultivation was low, his soul force wasn't much weaker than others, and he also had the assistance of the 9 regions origin pearl. Therefore, he had the advantage and wouldn't lose out in scouting. Bai Yun and the others moved forward, while Night Sorrow controlled the 9 regions origin pearl to increase his soul force to the maximum limit. Then, he rode on the ice unicorn and flew along the profound ice river. Night Sorrow felt that this was a good idea. He could avoid a lot of risks this way. Bai Yun and the others were inhumane, so he didn't feel guilty about using them. As for opportunities, Night Sorrow felt that he had already obtained what he needed. Not to mention, there were also top-grade ores in the profound ice river. If there was an opportunity, there would be. If there wasn't, there was no need to force it. After following them for 2 days, nothing happened. Night Sorrow knew that his plan was right. He would continue like this. Bai Yun and the others often had to fight. Their nature was different from Night Sorrow's because the battles that the ice unicorn could avoid, Bai Yun and the others couldn't. Night Sorrow didn't surpass Bai Yun and the others. When Bai Yun and the others fought, Night Sorrow would wait. When Bai Yun and the others moved forward, he would continue to follow. When he was chatting with Datura, Night Sorrow mentioned this matter. Datura laughed. Night Sorrow, your method is a bit shameless. You can't say that, right? If I'm not behind, won't they still have to fight? I'm just passing by, they won't lose anything. Night Sorrow said with a smile. 4th update. It's already very close to morning. I'm also sleepy, so I'll go rest for a while. Then, I'll continue working. Thank you for your support. Today's 11th update is expected. I feel that I can sleep for 2 hours and still be a hero. Chapter 1233. Datura found a suitable word to describe Night Sorrow. What you said makes sense, but I feel like something's wrong. Yes, I should say that he's sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor. I'm at the back, and I'm also bearing the risk of being discovered by them. I've also paid the price. Night Sorrow smiled. All right. You're doing the right thing, and I support you. The strong preys on the weak, that's how it works. Datura gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. She was just joking, and Night Sorrow's actions were normal. After all, they were competitors, and there was nothing wrong with what he did. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow continued forward. He couldn't fall behind because he had to pay attention to what was happening in front of him. After advancing for half a month, Night Sorrow felt that it was a bit tiring, so he decided to do something more daring. While Bai Yun and the others were resting, Night Sorrow put the ice Qilin into the dragon cauldron and controlled it to fly through the wind and snow. It landed in a gap in a man's armor and stayed there. Night Sorrow knew that there was no problem. He would just continue like this until it was about time to leave this group of people. Bai Yun and the others were having a hard time advancing because there were too many battles. After advancing for half a year, Bai Yun's group couldn't go on anymore. They had lost half of their group, and they gave up on advancing. They felt that they had no chance. They hadn't even reached the central region, and if they continued, they might be completely wiped out. Bai Yun and the others didn't continue, but Night Sorrow still wanted to continue. He controlled the dragon cauldron to roll out of the armor of the surviving man and landed on the ground. He watched as these people left. The days of advancing alone had begun again. Night Sorrow laughed at himself. After Bai Yun and the others disappeared, he released the ice Qilin and continued forward. Yes. 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 Night Sorrow had a spatial treasure and the ice Qilin's help, so he had an advantage that others didn't. The ice Qilin flew and didn't provoke anyone. It was no problem for him to keep a low profile. A few days ago, Night Sorrow had discovered the spatial essence iron on the banks of the profound ice river. When Night Sorrow was collecting it, Datura happened to vibrate the concentric crystal to communicate with Night Sorrow. The heavenly Tao's blessing, fate, I can understand now. Those unlucky fellows traveled for so long, but they didn't gain much. Now, they just left for a few days, and you traveled alone, and you already gained so much. Perseverance will always pay off. They lack perseverance, so this opportunity has nothing to do with them, Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. That was indeed the case. Bai Yun and the others had given up halfway, so they naturally lost their luck. After collecting the human-sized spatial refined iron, Night Sorrow returned to the dragon cauldron. He asked Ice Chilan to move forward while he talked to Datura. Your method is very shameless, but I have to say that it's very useful. Your safety is guaranteed. Datura was very impressed with Night Sorrow's method, but she also understood that it couldn't be replicated. Perhaps others could think of the same method, but it would be too difficult to do it. Night Sorrow's journey was still very safe. The Ice Chilan was a very good shield. Most importantly, they couldn't meet the Ice Dragon. The reason why Bai Yun and the others suffered so much was because they met the Ice Dragon. The Ice Dragon's attacks were very violent. After killing Bai Yun and the others, it was severely injured and flew away. Bai Yun and the others didn't dare to chase after it. When fighting with cultivators, the Ice Dragon would leave after being injured. If the profound Ice Chilan tiger encountered it, it would fight to the death. After traveling for another 2 months and avoiding a few dangers, the profound Ice Chilan tiger became a little violent. Night Sorrow knew that something was wrong, so he directly put the Jade Chilan tiger into the dragon cauldron and controlled it to hide. After hiding for half a day, Night Sorrow controlled the dragon cauldron to check the surroundings. There must be a reason for the profound Ice Chilan tiger to be violent. After checking the surroundings, there was no movement or beast. Night Sorrow was puzzled. After returning to the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow communicated with the Ice Chilan, but the Ice Chilan didn't say anything. After hesitating for a while, Night Sorrow took the Ice Chilan out of the dragon cauldron. The Ice Chilan roared towards the east. Move slowly, let's go take a look. Night Sorrow ordered the Ice Chilan. He had checked the east, and there wasn't any dangerous aura. However, there must be a reason why the Ice Chilan was so angry. After moving forward for a while, the Ice Chilan rammed into a small iceberg. Iceberg. Night Sorrow knew why the Ice Chilan went berserk. As the Ice Chilan rammed into the iceberg, it exploded. At this moment, the Ice Chilan opened its mouth and pounced forward. Night Sorrow quickly stopped it because he found out what was inside the iceberg. It was the skeleton of an ice dragon. An injured skeleton of an ice dragon. It was the skeleton of an ice dragon that died in a battle. There were many wounds on the ice dragon's body. Night Sorrow analyzed that the ice dragon couldn't return to the ice dragon's ancestral land after it was injured in the battle. It died here. However, before it died, it used its energy to freeze itself. It was unknown how long the ice dragon had died. The iceberg was covered in thick snow. If it wasn't for the Ice Chilan's senses, it would be impossible to find it. The skeleton of the ice dragon was damaged and couldn't be used to set up an array. It couldn't be used as the core of an array. However, it was still valuable. Night Sorrow's soul power burst out and transferred the skeleton into the dragon cauldron. He then entered the dragon cauldron to study it. The skeleton of the ice dragon was about 70 feet long and had a diameter of more than a meter. Its body was covered in white scales that were still flowing with light. It had 4 powerful limbs and abnormally sharp claws. Night Sorrow examined it and knew that he had gained a lot. The heart blood and essence blood were still there. They were what he needed the most. They could be used to increase the strength of his body. As for the bones, they could be used to refine tools. They were top-quality materials. The dragon bone saber and dragon bone sword were both extremely expensive. The ice dragon was of the ice attribute. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry to deal with it. It wouldn't rot or be damaged anyway. The Ice Chilan, who entered the dragon cauldron with Night Sorrow, was still furious when it saw the ice dragon's corpse. The profound Ice Chilan and the ice dragon were natural enemies. This concept was ingrained in the Ice Chilan's bones. It's already dead. You don't have to be angry. You can deal with the living ones when you see them. Night Sorrow patted the Ice Chilan's head and left the dragon cauldron with the Ice Chilan. They continued to explore the surroundings. However, Night Sorrow was disappointed. The dead ice dragon didn't have any treasures. Night Sorrow understood that this was the place where the ice dragon had temporarily fallen. It wasn't his nest. Therefore, there weren't any treasures that could be obtained. Continuing forward, Night Sorrow was looking for the undamaged skeleton of the ice dragon. Only then could it be used as the core of an array. There were many demonic beasts in the Great Thousand World. However, only the ice attribute beasts could be used as the core of an array. After death, the energy in the body would be sealed in ice and wouldn't dissipate. After Night Sorrow left for a while, two men in black appeared. Chapter 1234. Someone has been here. The iceberg broke not long ago. They must have taken something away, a man in black said. Someone must have been here. They must have a map. I don't know who they are, but that's not important. What's important is that they are going to die, another man said. Young master is right. Their opportunity is your highness' opportunity, said the man who spoke at the beginning. They were from the celestial sect in the world of reincarnation. Their leader was the young master of the celestial sect, Ling Ju. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. The celestial sect didn't have a sky master, but even if they did, they wouldn't provoke them easily. That was because the celestial sect's inheritance was terrifying. Even without a sky master, they could still unleash the power of a sky master. As one of the young masters, Ling Ju was very powerful. He was already a star king, but with a secret technique, he could fight against a monarch. Therefore, Ling Ju was confident when facing other teams. The person beside him was his personal guard, Wushan, who was also very powerful. Therefore, the two of them didn't join the other teams of the celestial sect. They formed an elite team. Then, Ling Ju and Wushan continued along the profound ice river. Night Sorrow chose to go along the profound ice river. Naturally, other people also chose to go along the profound ice river. It was just that they arrived at different times. Night Sorrow had a map, but it wasn't the only one. It was recorded later. Therefore, some disciples of the big forces also had it. Night Sorrow rode on the ice Qilin and moved much faster than ordinary people. He killed the beasts that blocked his way. If he couldn't kill them, he would go around them. King-level beasts were very intelligent. As long as the other party was willing to back off, they wouldn't kill them. Of course, it was different when the ice Qilin met the ice dragon. It was a natural enemy. Ling Ju and Wushan were also very fast. The two of them advanced while killing. Night Sorrow avoided the beasts, but they didn't. As long as it wasn't a monarch-level beast, they wouldn't be afraid. On Night Sorrow and the ice Qilin worked together to kill a 5-star king-level snow lion. Ling Ju and Wushan caught up. Alone? Then don't live. Wushan, kill him, Ling Ju shouted. Ice Qilin, let's go. Night Sorrow knew that danger had come. He couldn't see through Ling Ju and Wushan's cultivation levels, and he had heard Ling Ju's murderous roar. Night Sorrow's body flashed and landed on the back of the roaring ice Qilin. He controlled the ice Qilin to enter the Black Ice River and fly across the river. When he reached the other side of the Mystic Ice River, he ordered the ice Qilin to crash into the ice mountain on the other side of the river. He also launched an attack and charged into the belly of the mountain. The ice Qilin's horn was in front, and it slammed into the ice mountain with all its might. Just like the mountain-splitting mythical beast, it charged into the mountain. Knock the top down and don't resist, Night Sorrow instructed Ice Qilin. When the ice Qilin collapsed the cave, Night Sorrow's soul power burst out and pulled the ice Qilin into the dragon cauldron. He smashed a bottle of soul-destroying poison and entered the dragon cauldron as well. Then, he mixed the dragon cauldron with the crushed rocks and ice and hid it inside the ice mountain. Wushan also arrived before the ice mountain. When he was about to enter the cave, the ice mountain had already collapsed, and he could not enter directly. Ling Ju rushed over after killing the snow lion with one slash. Master, the person disappeared when the ice mountain collapsed. He might have gone underground or gone deep into the ice mountain, Wushan said while bowing. That person is Night Sorrow from the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Ling Ju squinted his eyes and looked at the ice mountain. The one with the heavenly artifact? Wu Shan was stunned. That's right. Otherwise, why would a 3-star king like him be here? He was able to come here because he relied on the miraculous heavenly Tao. Perhaps this is our opportunity. Ling Ju waved his arm. Under the vibration of the energy, crushed ice and rocks flew everywhere. He was going into the ice mountain. Wu Shan began to help as well. The heavenly artifact was more important than the ice dragon's bone. As they rumbled, Ling Ju and Wu Shan entered the ice mountain and cleared the collapsed area. However, there was no sign of Night Sorrow in the empty mountain. There was also no tunnel. Strange. Why is he gone? Ling Ju was puzzled when he didn't see Night Sorrow. Wu Shan didn't say anything because he didn't know what was going on either. However, after a while, Wu Shan's body shook. Something's wrong. Why is my soul being corroded? Wu Shan's face changed. His soul was being corroded to a great extent. If this continued, he wouldn't be able to hold on. Wu Shan didn't have time to say anything else. He sat down and resisted the attack on his soul. Ling Ju's face changed as well. He was the same. His soul was being corroded. Night Sorrow's soul-destroying poisonous smoke had taken effect. Night Sorrow, who was not far from them, felt that this was an opportunity. It was unrealistic to kill all of them, but there was a chance to kill one of them. Night Sorrow ate an antidote for the soul-destroying poisonous smoke and fed one to the ice Qilin as well. He let the ice Qilin use its energy to protect its body. Then, he rushed out of the Time Pagoda and used the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash on the meditating Wu Shan. His left hand smashed another bottle of soul-destroying poisonous smoke. He also used the soul-destroying poisonous smoke to attack Wu Shan. He didn't show any mercy. In Night Sorrow's heart, Ling Ju and Wu Shan were different from Bai Yun's team. Ling Ju had recognized him and wouldn't leave easily. Therefore, he had to think of a way to solve the crisis. If there was a chance to kill him, then he had to do it. The purple halo of the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash enveloped Wu Shan. Wu Shan was meditating. When he realized that he was being attacked, he quickly tried to break free from the purple halo's control and used his sword to block Night Sorrow's Reincarnation Slash. Following an explosion, Wu Shan's body stopped and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His soul was attacked by the soul-destroying poisonous smoke. He suppressed it with all his strength, so he couldn't even use 30% of his strength. Dark Mountain had managed to block Yi Shan's attack, but his body had also suffered a violent impact. It was mainly because Yi Shan's attack had been too sudden and he had used his full strength. Dark Mountain had not been able to withstand it. After the collision, Night Sorrow's soul-destroying slash also attacked Wu Shan's spiritual sea. Wu Shan was stunned. But at this time, Ling Ju used his sword Qi to force the ice Qilin back. Then, he cut his sword towards the path that Night Sorrow attacked Wu Shan. Ling Ju knew that Wu Shan was severely injured because he was also greatly affected. But he couldn't watch Wu Shan be killed. That was his biggest support. Night Sorrow took 2 steps back and dodged the sputtering sword Qi. Then, he threw out the sky-piercing spear. He used the Void Extreme Kill. The sky-piercing spear, which had been upgraded to a king weapon, flew through the air and towards Wu Shan's head. Wu Shan felt the threat coming. He suppressed the soul-destroying slash's attack and opened his eyes. He didn't have time to dodge or block, so he set up his protective energy to the strongest level. Normally, Wu Shan's protective energy could block a mid-level king's attack. But Night Sorrow used the Void Extreme Kill. As the purple halo exploded, the sky-piercing spear's energy destroyed Wu Shan's protective energy. It directly entered between Wu Shan's eyebrows and shattered his spiritual sea. 6th update. Chapter 1235. After killing Wu Shan, Night Sorrow retrieved the sky-piercing spear and the soul-extinguishing crescent moon blade. He then retreated and rushed towards the ice Qilin. When Ling Ju forced the Ice Qilin to retreat, Night Sorrow ordered the Ice Qilin to crash into the mountain as he needed a way out. After meeting up with the Ice Qilin, Night Sorrow threw a bottle of 7 deadly poison smoke behind him. Then, he and the Ice Qilin fled into the mountain. The Ice Qilin's hind legs were still shaking violently, causing the ground behind it to collapse, blocking Ling Ju's pursuit. First, Ling Ju, who was in pursuit, saw the blue 7 deadly poison smoke. He was stunned for a moment before he stopped. A sword chi flew towards Night Sorrow's back. The sword chi was too fast. Night Sorrow couldn't dodge it. He had no choice but to activate the 9 heavy armor and use the power of Desolates to protect himself. At the same time, he continued to charge forward with the Ice Qilin. With an explosion, Night Sorrow's body almost fell. Ling Ju's sword chi attacked his back, but it was blocked by the 9 heavy armor. If Ling Ju was at his peak, Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to block it even with the 9 heavy armor. Ling Ju was hit by the soul-extinguishing smoke, so he was very cautious. Most of his energy was used to suppress the soul-extinguishing smoke, so Night Sorrow was able to block it. After advancing for a while, Night Sorrow and the Ice Qilin charged downwards with all their might. The ice mountain was very hard, but the Ice Qilin was born with great strength. In addition to his strong body, he was able to crash down with all his might. "I, Ling Ju, will definitely kill you," Ling Ju roared. He was extremely angry, but he couldn't chase after him. After a few breaths, Night Sorrow and the Ice Qilin reached the mysterious ice river and charged into it. After running for a while, Night Sorrow wrapped the Ice Qilin with his soul power and entered the dragon cauldron. They descended for a while before stopping. Then, he released his soul power to investigate the battle just now. He was already dozens of miles away. At this distance, Ling Ju couldn't dig him out, but he could observe Ling Ju's actions. Night Sorrow knew that there had been a lot of accidents involved in killing Dark Mountain. Under normal circumstances, there should have been no chance at all. Killing Dark Mountain was already an incredible achievement. It was unrealistic to want to fight against Ling Ju. Ling Ju was still able to fight after being poisoned by the soul-destroying poison, which meant that he was strong. Even if he was poisoned and not in his best condition, he was still not someone Night Sorrow could fight against. Night Sorrow gave Ice Qilin some life spirit fluid. The Ice Qilin seemed to be fine, but the violent collision with the ice mountain had caused its internal body to be severely shaken. Now, its nose was still bleeding. At this time, Ling Ju flew out of the ice mountain. The area was full of poisonous smoke, so he couldn't bring it with him. As for Dark Mountain's corpse, he could only give up on it. Both he and Dark Mountain had come with their real bodies, because they were confident in their own abilities. Flying back to the other side of the profound ice river, Ling Ju killed the demonic beasts attracted by the Ice Qilin's roar and ate some pills to suppress the poison. However, the soul-destroying poison refined by Datura was very strong. Although it couldn't take Ling Ju's life, it still brought him a lot of trouble. It couldn't be solved in a short time. After meditating for a while, Ling Ju realized that he couldn't do it. If this continued, it would be difficult to solve it. Moreover, this wasn't a safe area. After thinking for a while, he flew forward. Night Sorrow controlled the dragon cauldron and flew far behind. He wanted to see what Ling Ju was going to do. After flying for a while, Ling Ju took out some spirit stones and started to set up a formation. Illusion formation. Night Sorrow knew that it was an illusion formation. The scenery changed, and he couldn't see what was inside the formation. However, Night Sorrow felt Ling Ju's aura in the formation. Night Sorrow felt that Ling Ju was quite smart to set up a formation to heal himself. However, after a while, Night Sorrow frowned. He realized that Ling Ju's aura had disappeared. Spatial treasure. Could Ling Ju have entered a spatial treasure? Night Sorrow had 2 spatial treasures on him. It was normal for others to have one as well. Moreover, Ling Ju's background was also high. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that there was another possibility. It was a teleportation formation. Ling Ju had set up a teleportation formation. Then, he went back to solve the problem like he did when he sent the resources. Ling Ju was also an array master. If he entered a spatial treasure, there was no need for him to set up a formation. If he stayed in the spatial treasure to expel the poison, it would be hard for others to find him. Night Sorrow felt that there was a high possibility that it was a teleportation formation. He decided to take a gamble. If Ling Ju was still there, then he would continue to think of a way to escape. If Ling Ju was still there, then sorry, but he would destroy his teleportation formation. After reaching the illusion formation, Night Sorrow started to break the formation. As a heavenly adept array master, Night Sorrow had no problem breaking an illusion formation. When Night Sorrow broke the illusion formation and found a teleportation formation, it was also destroyed. Fortunately, the teleportation crystal was not broken. Ling Ju was also worried that others would ambush him after breaking the illusion formation, so he had a backup plan. However, Night Sorrow felt that it was enough to destroy the teleportation formation. The journey of 1.5 years would be relatively easier for him to travel the second time. However, the demonic beasts in the ice dragon realm were mobile. The situation was constantly changing. It would take Ling Ju a lot of time to catch up. This was enough for Night Sorrow. After taking Ling Ju's teleportation crystal and finding a safe place, Night Sorrow rested for 2 days. The main reason was that Ice Qilin needed to recover. Night Sorrow did not want Ice Qilin to travel with injuries. It was inhumane. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow continued his journey. However, he was very careful. He was sure that he was not the only one with a map. There were many others. Perhaps because of the advantage in the early stage, the people in the world of Samsara were behind him. However, it was hard to say for the situation in the Shenwu Great World and the Black-Yellow Great World. This place was suitable for the Ice Dragon realm. Every step was dangerous and frightening. Night Sorrow had to move forward carefully. During one journey, Datura opened the concentric crystal. Datura was sailing in the big lake of the city in the sky. Night Sorrow also saw the 2 children, Yu Jun and Qin Yen. When the 2 children saw Night Sorrow in the concentric crystal, they greeted him excitedly. "I took them out to play. They miss you and want to see you," Datura said. "My original body's cultivation will come to an end after a while. I will go back then," Night Sorrow said. "Okay. How's it going?" Datura changed the topic. "It's going well. However, I may have offended someone again," Night Sorrow said with a smile. Now, he did not want to offend anyone. It was others who were thinking about him. He could not do anything about it. "Who did you offend?" Datura did not care who Night Sorrow offended as long as he was fine at that time. Judging from his clothes, he seems to be from the Celestial sect. Some people call him Young Master. "He calls himself Ling Ju," Night Sorrow said. "His surname is Ling. That means he is from the Celestial sect. The Celestial sect is a little troublesome. However, it doesn't matter. They can't show off in the eastern region of the world of Samsara. However, you have to be careful. The people of the Celestial sect rely on their deep background. Therefore, they are more arrogant. If you offend them, they will definitely plot against you," Datura said. "Plot against me? Then he has to run away slowly first," Night Sorrow said with a smile. He was quite happy to have destroyed Ling Ju's transmission formation. Chapter 1236. He wants to run away. What's going on? It seems that you've taken advantage of him again? Datura asked with great interest. Night Sorrow smiled and told her about the conflict between him and Ling Ju with Wushan, as well as the process of destroying Ling Ju's transmission formation. That's a ruthless move. It will take him a long time to return to his original position. He can't threaten you at all. Datura said. She admired Night Sorrow's calculation and ability. It was rare to be able to create such a situation in front of two opponents who were much stronger than him. They wanted to catch me. I had no choice. They were unlucky, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry about the things at home. Everything is fine, Datura said. Then Night Sorrow told his son and daughter that he would definitely be back for their birthday. Datura was lost in thought. She felt that Night Sorrow was different from other cultivators. Other king-level cultivators had children, but they also asked servants to look after them. They rarely took care of their children themselves. It was impossible for them to delay their cultivation because of their children. But it was different for Night Sorrow. She could feel the tenderness in Night Sorrow's eyes and the concern in Night Sorrow's heart. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided that his original body would leave Samsara Palace first and return to the city in the sky to accompany his family. It was the same for him to cultivate with the pagoda of time and space in the city in the sky. After making the decision, Night Sorrow told Datura to take the children to the transmission formation and wait for him. What are you doing? Datura looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. I'm going back, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. You're leaving Samsara Palace. You still have to go there, right? Wait a little longer. Yujun, Qingyan, your father has something to do. I'll come back to accompany you when he's not busy. Auntie will accompany you fishing. Datura patiently coaxed the two children. Original. Yujun and Qingyan nodded obediently. Father, when you come back, you must bring me a big sword. Yujun looked at the concentric crystal and said. All right. Once I'm here, Qingyan, prepare whatever you want, Night Sorrow said to Qingyan. I don't need anything. Mother said that father's safety is more important than anything else. Qingyan looked at the crystal and said. Night Sorrow nodded. This was his son and daughter, and this was the reason for him to fight. After breaking the concentric crystal, Night Sorrow rested for a moment before his mood stabilized. Ice Qilin hurried along the mysterious ice river while Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine to drink. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Night Sorrow had also gone a long way in. At this time, an angry roar came from the entrance of the Ice Dragon realm. It was Ling Ju. After returning to the celestial sect, he used a spiritual treasure of heaven and earth to resolve the problem of the soul-destroying poison before returning to the Ice Dragon realm. When he arrived at the transportation formation he had set up, he was immediately enraged. The transportation crystal on the formation was dark, which meant that the connecting formation had been destroyed and could no longer be used. After roaring twice, Ling Ju calmed down. He knew that the one who destroyed the transportation formation was none other than Night Sorrow, who had run away. He knew that Night Sorrow hadn't run far at all. Instead, he had been watching him. After he left using the transportation formation, Night Sorrow came out and destroyed it. Ling Ju was very angry. He had walked for more than a year between the two transportation formations. Now, he could only walk again. Night Sorrow, Ling Ju, will kill you. Ling Ju's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had suffered a great loss this time. Not only had one of his guards been killed, but he had also used an extremely precious life recovery pill to deal with the soul-destroying poison. As the name implied, as long as one didn't die at the time, the life recovery pill could solve the problem. There weren't many of such pills in the celestial sect. He could use it because he was the young sect master. Night Sorrow's speed was very fast, but the environment was getting worse and worse, because he was getting closer and closer to the center of the Ice Dragon world. Although the profound ice river didn't freeze, the water temperature was terrifyingly low. If a hard rock fell into the water, it would instantly freeze and crack. Night Sorrow knew that the situation was still normal. The coldest place in the Ice Dragon world was the Ice Dragon Abyss. It was said that even the air could freeze, and that was also the core of the Ice Dragon world. The Ice Dragon's ancestral land was not far from the Ice Dragon Abyss. Humans and beasts below the 7th step could not survive there, so only the tyrannical Ice Dragon could survive. The Ice Qilin was very strong. This kind of environment had almost no effect on it. Its speed was still extremely fast, because it was a beast with an innate talent of the ice attribute. 2 years passed as they advanced. Looking at the map, Night Sorrow discovered that they were not far from the central area. If they advanced for a while longer, the ice Qilin would be put away. In the center, the ice Qilin was no longer an assistant, but a disaster. The ice dragon was very sensitive to the dark ice Qilin. In the past, the dark ice Qilin was very strong. They once fought with the ice dragon for the center. They lost and were expelled, but the rivalry was deep in their bones. 2 years had passed, and Night Sorrow's cultivation was the same as his realm. Now, Night Sorrow's genuine chi cultivation had reached the peak of the 3-star king. Night Sorrow's original body went back to the city in the sky once to accompany his child, parents, and wife. After a while, he left the Time Pagoda and returned to the Samsara Palace. This time, Night Sorrow asked the Samsara Palace's device spirit, which was the origin of the world of Samsara, to combine the wills of nothingness, time, and space. He had already learned the basics of the 3 wills, so he could comprehend them together. The Samsara Palace's device spirit agreed, but to comprehend the 3 wills, it would cost 3 times the time. In other words, Night Sorrow had 130 years in his Samsara token. If he comprehended the 3 wills together, he could only cultivate for 40 years. Night Sorrow agreed. Time was the most precious thing. If he could improve quickly, he would have to bear with it even if it cost him a lot. Besides, he still had merits in the Qing Emperor's palace to exchange for time. In addition, Night Sorrow told his wife that if the child wanted to see him, they could go to the Heaven Ceiling Palace. He had a doppelganger there too. Datura also said that Night Sorrow's original body should not move around. If he was not in the safest 9 regions world, then he should cultivate in the Samsara Palace. It was dangerous to move around. The temptation of the artifact of heavenly axiom was too great. Even the Sky Master had the possibility of making a move. No one could stop this temptation. Night Sorrow continued his journey after settling the matters of his original body and his family. As for the matters of the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Night Sorrow was more assured. Before he left, he had reported to the military that Nu Lin would be in charge of the army during his absence. The sealing formation and sealing formation that he had been keeping were also given to Nu Lin. The 9 Heavens army would operate as usual. During the journey, Night Sorrow had nothing to do. He just deduced the formation. The formation was broad and profound. He had a lot of formation diagrams, which were enough for him to study. When Night Sorrow continued his journey in the Ice Dragon realm, the Qing Emperor's dynasty and the Black Fiend Valley had a conflict. It was because the spy sent by Li Ying was caught again by Sandalwood. The Black Fiend Valley continued to target the 9-story tower, which made Sandalwood angry. Chapter 1237. The end result of Sandalwood Fire was that she went to Black Fiend Valley alone with a blade to start a massacre. Sandalwood became famous 5 million years ago. His combat power was close to that of a titan. After 5 million years, his cultivation level and realm did not improve, but his combat power had improved significantly. The sovereigns could only be killed. First edition. Li Tianba was furious that his forces and cities were attacked by Sandalwood. He reprimanded his son and started to deal with the matter. There were 2 titans in the Black Fiend Valley, but so what? Sandalwood used to be the commander of an army. He had his own strategies. He would not give Li Tianba and Li Tianhu a chance to attack him. He would end every battle quickly and retreat immediately. This strategy caused the Li family in the Black Fiend Valley to suffer heavy losses. Li Tianba and Li Tianhu took action, but they could not find Sandalwood. After killing him once, Sandalwood disappeared and continued to kill. Only Li Tianba and Li Tianhu could stop Sandalwood, but they could not find Sandalwood, who was killing people everywhere. They could not control the situation. The 2 brothers discussed and decided to ask for peace with the Qing Emperor's dynasty. They had no choice because there was no one like Sandalwood in the Black Fiend Valley who could defeat the king and the sovereigns. If they sent people to the Qing Emperor's dynasty to cause trouble, they would be killed. Li Tianba and Li Tianhu could not do anything. Once a titan took action, they would fight to the death. Currently, the Black Fiend Valley and the Qing Emperor's dynasty had not reached such a level. Li Tianba's messenger met the Qing Emperor and admitted that it was the people of the Black Fiend Valley who did not understand the situation and would not do it again. He even asked the Qing Emperor's dynasty to forgive him. Go back and tell Li Tianba. If he offends the Qing Emperor's dynasty again, the result will not be what it is today. It is not something that can be solved by asking for peace. No one has a good temper, the Qing Emperor said to Li Tianba's messenger. Thereafter, the Azure Supreme the Arch crushed Sandalwood's soul crystal. The matter was more or less settled. The Azure Supreme the Arch was also worried that Sandalwood would accidentally fall into the hands of Li Tianba and Li Tianhu. Now that Sandalwood was about to get married, nothing could go wrong. Although Sandalwood still wanted to kill him, he knew that the Qing Emperor must have his reasons for asking him to go back. This matter made Li Tianba and Li Tianhu angry, but it did not affect Li Ying's status in the Black Fiend Valley. But Li's dynasty. Li's Li Tianhu's right, of course. Li Tianhu's determination to become stronger. This was a good thing. He could not just because he failed. Li Tianhu's. Since his younger brother said so, Li Tianba did not say anything. He did not want to punish his son. Akatsuki was depressed recently. He had a team of Sky Heart Prefecture soldiers that entered the Ice Dragon realm, but they had suffered heavy losses. Only half of them were still advancing. Akatsuki was depressed about the heavy losses. Another thing was that the Sky Heart army outside the Sky Tiger Pass had fought the Nine Heaven army a few times. They were always at a disadvantage. The Nine Heaven army was strong. Although the Sky Heart Prefecture soldiers were strong, they did not have enough teamwork. Therefore, they were always at a disadvantage. The Nine Heaven army did not fight with the Sky Heart army. They would leave after winning and go to another battlefield. This made the Red Emperor's dynasty very passive. Chiwa was the same. He was also troubled by the Green Qilin and Green Phoenix armies. Chi-Du, you are dead. Others will have to bear the consequences of your failure. Chiwa was a little depressed after sending people to investigate the movements of the Green Qilin and Green Phoenix armies. The current passive situation was the result of Chi-Du's failure. The Red Emperor's dynasty was no match for the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Chiwa also felt that he was being looked down upon. He had challenged Night Sorrow to a battle, but Night Sorrow did not reply. He did not know that Night Sorrow was not in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. He thought that Night Sorrow ignored him because of Night Sorrow. This was very unbearable for him, who had always been arrogant. Pick yourself up from where you fell. Everyone knew this. Chiwa had been famous in the Red Emperor's dynasty for many years. He was also a famous commander of an army. However, he had lost too badly this time. The young masters and highnesses of the various kingdoms and sects sounded young, but that was not the case. They were called that because their fathers were the leaders of the forces. Some of the young masters and highnesses had cultivated to the monarch realm. They had lived for a very long time. Their power and influence were very strong. Chiwa, Li Ying, and the others were all like this. Therefore, losing to a young man like Night Sorrow was a great humiliation to them. If they could not resolve it, it would become a knot in their hearts. Night Sorrow was in the Ice Dragon realm. Even if he was not, Chiwa would not have an advantage in such a battle. A one-on-one battle was not suitable because Night Sorrow had only cultivated for a little more than 100 years. He had cultivated for countless years. An army battle? Chiwa's power was not at the same level as Night Sorrow's. Sandalwood, who had rushed back from the Black Fiend Valley, was in high spirits. He was still the invincible Sandalwood of the past. He alone could make the Black Fiend Valley helpless. When Sandalwood returned to the 9 grand floors, he was talking to Summer City and Yi when he learned about the battle between Chiwa and Night Sorrow. He just smiled disdainfully. Junior brother can crush him in an army battle. If we were to compete in individual battle, junior brother can crush him in 1/10 of his cultivation time. I don't know what's the point of this battle. Maybe he was suppressed by junior brother and lost his reputation, so he was a little unwilling. However, the truth is the truth. He can't deny it. It is also the evaluation of the world, Yi said. Yi had lived in the 9 grand floors for a while. Although she had never met Night Sorrow, she had heard some things about Night Sorrow from others. Therefore, even if they had never met, she admired Night Sorrow very much. They are noobs. Junior brother is an elite. There is no comparison. Junior brother just needs time to grow, Sandalwood said. He was different from before. In the past, he would explode at the slightest provocation. Now, he was much calmer. Your Highness and His Highness Night Sorrow are both elites. His Majesty is the most cautious when it comes to accepting disciples. Whether it is character or talent, they are all considered. He is not like the others, who grab any broken shoes and socks in their hands, Summer City said. Haha. In Uncle Xia's eyes, junior brother and I are just a little better than broken shoes and socks. Sandalwood laughed. His Highness is calm and his words are sharp. Summer City said helplessly. He truly felt the change in Sandalwood. He did not lose his courage, but his mentality was more stable. Uncle Xia, back then, Master had taught me many things, but I really couldn't learn them. After I got to know my junior brother, I saw the tenacity in him, and how much he cherished. I care about everything that's happening today. Life is just survival. Sandalwood's words were filled with emotions. That is true. His Highness Night Sorrow has a deep understanding of life. He is also very good at it. He cherishes everything around him and is willing to sacrifice everything for the people around him. Summer City nodded. 9th update. Chapter 1238. However, this is all thanks to Xian Daozi. His divination skills are very useful. He was able to bring His Highness Night Sorrow to Summer City of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Junior brother's appearance is a blessing to me and to the Qing Emperor's dynasty. From a neutral point of view, junior brother's development will be smooth no matter where he goes. Even if there are some obstacles, they won't be able to stop him from moving forward. He has the ability and charisma to do so, Sandalwood said as she took the tea from E. / Junior brother has the body of merit, which explains everything. There are countless people in the great thousand world, but it is very difficult for a body of merit to appear. If he was lacking, he wouldn't have been able to reach this level, E said. At this moment, Night Sorrow was riding the ice Qilin forward. In order to speed up and avoid danger, Night Sorrow let the ice Qilin fly over the wide ice river. The extremely cold water surged and the energy covered the ice Qilin, so the possibility of being discovered was much lower. Only the ice Qilin could do this. Cultivators couldn't. Flying above the extremely cold ice river would greatly affect one's body. Without using energy to protect one's body, one would be frozen. Using energy to protect one's body would consume a lot of energy, and one wouldn't be able to fly for long. Flying at high altitudes would also lose the protection of the ice river's energy. While Yi Futian's original body cultivated his realm and strength, Night Sorrow's clone deduced the formation. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about his hometown and everything around him. The 9 regions world's gateway strictly prohibited people with higher cultivation than him from entering without his permission. He wasn't worried about anything in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Without him, the Qing Emperor's dynasty was still doing well. He wasn't some savior. Without him, everything in the world would still be running smoothly. At this moment, some of the weaker teams had already retreated. Because of the rampant demonic beasts, if they insisted on going forward, they would die. Strong teams would also suffer heavy losses as they ventured deeper into the forest. Bai Yun's team was an example. If they encountered a ferocious demonic beast, they would have to pay an unbearable price. Some people carried spatial treasures, but in fact, controlling spatial treasures to fly while concealing one's body required a large amount of soul power. It was also very slow. Let alone 30 years, even 100 years might not be enough to reach the central region of the frost dragon world. Inside the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow, who had gained some experience in the deduction of array formations, took out the materials and tried to refine an array disk. The method to refine an array disk was recorded in the notes on array formations that the Qing Emperor had imparted to him. The disk array was actually a miniature version of the array. It was the condensation of the array into the disk array. Night Sorrow tried to refine an illusion array. When there was an opponent, the illusion array disk would be activated and he would have the opportunity to escape. Spatial brass was needed to refine the array disk. In other words, there had to be enough space to hold enough spirit stones to condense the array disk. Spatial brass was a rare material. It was used by Night Sorrow when he received orders to refine items. The first time he tried to refine it, he failed. Because of a miscalculation, the space in the disk array could not hold enough Saint Spirit stones, causing the array to not be able to completely merge into the disk array. The failure cost him some materials, but Night Sorrow had accumulated some experience and continued to refine it. On the third try, a small illusion array disk was completed. It was the 1000 development illusion array. Night Sorrow tried to activate it. He felt that the effect was not bad. It was a basic king's array disk. It could affect a basic king. Of course, it was not realistic to trap him. After all, it was only a basic array disk and did not contain many Saint Spirit stones. Night Sorrow then refined a teleportation array disk. It was a teleportation array that could be activated in an instant. Of course, it was not suitable for simple ones, such as long-distance teleportation, because the principles behind high-level teleportation arrays were more complicated. Night Sorrow had the ice Qilin stop by the riverbank. He took out a normal teleportation stone and set up a teleportation array. After traveling for a while, Night Sorrow activated the teleportation array disk. As the space shook, Night Sorrow returned to the place where he had set up the teleportation array. However, the array disk in his hand had shattered. It was a one-time use array disk. It was not that the teleportation array disk could only be used once. It was just that the one that Night Sorrow had refined was not high enough. After the teleportation array was activated, the energy had destroyed the structure of the array. Currently, Night Sorrow did not lack resources. He had the ice Qilin continue to move forward while he continued to refine and study the array disk. Night Sorrow's doppelganger in the sky's ceiling Great Hall also followed along and studied. Half a month later, Night Sorrow had refined an illusion array disk. It was at the mid-tier standard. In other words, it could affect mid-tier and high-level king. Night Sorrow was extremely satisfied with this result. The mid-tier array disk could already affect high-level king. In addition, Night Sorrow had a teleportation array disk. He had more ways to save his life. However, he had to first set up a teleportation array that corresponded to the array disk. Of course, the teleportation array disk could not be connected to the teleportation array that Night Sorrow had used to enter the Ice Dragon realm. The main reason was that the distance was too far. Night Sorrow had embedded the realm teleportation crystal that Datura had given him. As long as he was in the Ice Dragon realm, there would be no problems with teleportation. A low-tier teleportation crystal could teleport a distance of 1,000,000 miles. Its value was already very low. It could only be used in low-tier worlds. Night Sorrow was now using it to set up a life-saving teleportation array. When the distance was not enough, the teleportation crystal on the teleportation array disk would dim. Night Sorrow would then set up another one. As he advanced, Night Sorrow's strength was constantly increasing. His original body was currently not in the stage of enlightenment. In other words, as long as he had some enlightenment, his doppelganger's strength would immediately manifest. After advancing for 3 months, Night Sorrow had developed a mid-tier teleportation array disk. This meant that the teleportation array disk would not shatter after teleportation. It was just that it could not be embedded with a realm teleportation crystal. After all, that was a high-level teleportation array. If it could be embedded with a realm teleportation crystal, then it would be a high-level teleportation array disk. If it could not shatter after teleportation, then it would be a top-tier teleportation array disk. Night Sorrow could not do anything about this. His cultivation was too low and his soul power was not enough. He could not refine it at the moment. Night Sorrow was still researching the array disks used in battle. His request was very simple. He did not want to kill the enemy. If he encountered a tyrannical opponent, it would be fine as long as he had enough time to retreat. Night Sorrow devoted himself to studying the illusionary killing array. He wanted to increase the power of the array disk. As long as he could trap the opponent for a few breaths of time, he could use the teleportation array disk to retreat easily. In the Ice Dragon realm, it was unrealistic to rely on battle power to achieve anything. It should be known that the central region of the Ice Dragon realm was the territory of the Ice Dragons. The Ice Dragons were a race. Although most of the time, they lived alone or in pairs in a territory, if they encountered danger, they would ask for help. It would be difficult to survive being surrounded by the Ice Dragons. It should be known that many of the Ice Dragons were high-level king tier. Their battle power was extremely strong. It could even be said that they could fight above their level. The Ice Dragons were on the side of the Ice Dragons. As his research on the array disk deepened, Night Sorrow felt that his survival ability had increased again. Chapter 1239. Night Sorrow was very happy. His array Dao cultivation had improved at a crucial time, and it had helped him a lot. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Right now, Night Sorrow didn't care about searching for resources because traveling was the most important thing. If he could get an Ice Dragon skeleton, it would be a real gain. Even if it wasn't an Ice Dragon skeleton, it could still be used as the core of a formation. Although the power would be a bit weaker, it would still be enough to protect a small city. For example, using an intermediate King's Ice Dragon skeleton as the core to set up a formation to protect a mansion would also be very domineering. The Ice Dragon skeleton that Night Sorrow had started collecting couldn't be used because its body was damaged. It could only be used as a material. Feeling that he could prepare more formation plates, Night Sorrow continued to refine them. If he couldn't control an opponent, he would use two. He still had a lot of spatial brass in his storage ring. He had refined a few of each type of array disk, and he had also used up most of the spatial brass. There was still a little left, but Yishan didn't dare to use it. Who knew what would happen, so it wasn't wrong to reserve some for emergencies. When Datura went to find Night Sorrow happened to have a stack of formation plates next to him. "You're the one who refined it. You're good at everything now," Mandela said after seeing the disk array. "Because I didn't have enough time and didn't pay attention to the materials, I refined these," Night Sorrow said as he put away the formation plates. "The materials aren't difficult. I'll go back and study them for you. However, if you have formation plates, others might have them too. It's better to be careful," Datura reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. There were some things that he had considered in his heart and was prepared for. The ice Chilan flew very quickly on the ice river. Night Sorrow felt that at this rate, they would reach the central area in half a year. That would be the time for him to start his own adventure. Others might be worried about the dangers of exploring, but Night Sorrow wasn't. He was excited. Opportunities were reserved for those who were prepared. He was mentally prepared to face everything. Of course, whether he could gain anything was another topic. Along the way, Night Sorrow could feel his strength increasing. The most obvious change was his comprehension of the wills of space and nihility. The space attribute was Night Sorrow's talent ability, so the compatibility was not low. The other was the will of nothingness. The will of nothingness was the attribute of Night Sorrow's genuine chi and soul, so it was not difficult to comprehend it. The main point was that the will of heaven and earth in the Samsara palace was strong and obvious, which could not be compared with some special places where the will of heaven and earth was displayed. According to this progress, Knight Sorrow felt that he would not be able to enter the intermediate king for too long. Many times, when comprehending the will of nothingness, he was afraid that he would not be able to feel it. He was afraid that he would not be able to enter the state, and then he would not gain anything. Knight Sorrow was in the state now, so he gained a lot from comprehending the will of nothingness. Knight Sorrow felt that if the will of nothingness could enter the 4-star king, his battle power would increase a lot. After all, there was a big difference between a 4-star king and a 3-star king. That was the boundary between the beginner king and the intermediate king. While Knight Sorrow was hurrying, some teams with maps were also moving towards the central area. Ling Ju was one of them. However, he had brought a team with him this time because he was still weak by himself. Some strong teams were also moving towards the central area. Those who retreated and left were of average strength. There were still some who were strong enough to fight against monarchs in the Star King. These people could naturally move forward in a straight line. They would only be in danger when they reached the central area. Knight Sorrow was also moving forward at full speed because he had made all the necessary preparations. Every time he moved forward, he would set up a low-level teleportation formation. The cost was not high and he could protect himself. If he really needed to use it, it would be equivalent to using a low-level teleportation formation to save a doppelganger. Along the way, Knight Sorrow was also cultivating in the Dragon Cauldron. He continued to strengthen the Great Emperor Samsara because the increase in cultivation and will of nothingness would affect his battle power and the power of his absolute art. When Knight Sorrow's soul power detected the continuous turns in the mystic ice river, he knew that he could not rely on the ice Qilin to move forward. After the 9 Bends and 3 Coves region, it would be the central area of the Ice Dragon realm, the habitat of the Ice Dragon. If he brought the Ice Qilin in, Knight Sorrow would not be looking for the Ice Dragon skeleton, but looking for trouble. After passing the 9 Bends and 3 Coves, Knight Sorrow rode the Ice Qilin to the shore of the mystic ice river. He then kept the Ice Qilin in the Dragon Cauldron and began to move forward. Now Knight Sorrow had his own matters to attend to. The weather was extremely cold, and Knight Sorrow's vision was filled with white. Occasionally, there would be extreme cold currents. In the Ice Dragon realm, other than the threat of demon beast attacks, there was also the danger of the extreme cold currents. The extreme cold currents were produced in the Ice Dragon abyss and could freeze some creatures. If a cultivator was caught in it, it would be very difficult to resist and would end up being frozen. The Ice Dragon abyss was a strange and dangerous place produced by the heavenly Tao. The extreme cold currents were a natural phenomenon produced by the Ice Dragon abyss. It represented the will of the heavenly Tao and was not something humans could resist. Even the Ice Dragon would avoid this extreme cold current. Knight Sorrow began to fly, but he still followed the curve of the Mystic Ice River. The Mystic Ice River crossed the Ice Dragon realm and was the best map coordinate. However, at the same time, there was danger because some demon beasts lived near the Mystic Ice River. The sky was filled with snow, and a white figure shuttled back and forth in the wind and snow. This figure was Knight Sorrow. At this moment, he was wearing the white battle robe that he was most used to, with the sky splitter behind his back. Knight Sorrow's body was also rippling with a halo. That was the Dragon Cauldron's protection. Under the situation where he could not consume his own energy, the Dragon Cauldron was the most suitable for protection. The activation of the Dragon Cauldron required the energy of Spirit Stones, and the thing that Knight Sorrow did not lack the least was Holy Spirit Stones. Under the situation where the Dragon Cauldron was only protecting Knight Sorrow's body, it would only consume 2 or 3 Holy Spirit Stones in a day. For Knight Sorrow, it was just a drop in the ocean. After advancing for a few days, Knight Sorrow would enter the Dragon Cauldron to rest once. At this time, he had already been in the Ice Dragon realm for 3 years. In these 3 years, the first 2 years were rich in resources, and the 3rd year was a great improvement in his strength. While advancing, Knight Sorrow would burst forth with his soul power to explore and avoid danger. In the central region of the Ice Dragon realm, there were no ordinary demon beasts. Once a demon beast appeared, it would be the powerful ice dragon. Half a month later, Night Sorrow encountered an ice dragon. It was a living ice dragon. Night Sorrow detected it from afar. It was an ice dragon that was circling around an ice pillar. Its body was slightly larger than the skeleton that Night Sorrow had collected. Its aura and pressure were very strong. Night Sorrow knew that he was not its opponent. After carefully looking at the sleeping ice dragon, Night Sorrow felt that he had no chance of killing it. The difference in strength was too great. When the difference in strength was to the extent of crushing, the effectiveness of some schemes and strategies would be reduced. Night Sorrow observed from afar and thought about what he should do. At this moment, every choice he made would mean a great gain or a great loss. The 11th update had arrived. Update complete. Thank you, Great Demon King. Thank you. Thank you, two brothers, for the strength pills. Thank you, sisters, for the rewards, support, and unsealing. Yesterday, I added 5 more chapters. Today, I added 6 more chapters. 2 strength pills and scattered chapters have been updated. Without debt, Shizi had fulfilled his promise. Once again, thank you, brothers and sisters, for your support. Chapter 1240. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. I'll bring you an exciting novel to read. Read the full article. Night Sorrow took another look at the oars below the icicles and decided to leave. It was not worth it to mess up his plan just for some oars. After going around, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. His final goal was the ice dragon abyss. The other ice dragons blocking his way would just move aside. Kill. He could not kill them with his strength. Night Sorrow continued to move forward in the flying snow at an extremely fast speed. The will of space could also suppress the energy waves brought about by his body. After Night Sorrow entered the center of the ice dragon realm, Datura also reduced the number of times she used the concentric crystal because she knew that Night Sorrow could not afford to be distracted now. The center of the ice dragon realm was really too dangerous. Ice dragons were top-notch beasts with extraordinary talents. As long as they had enough time, their cultivation and battle strength were very strong. It would not be difficult for them to reach the level of a high-level king. Therefore, everyone's goal in entering the ice dragon realm this time was to find the bones of dead ice dragons. No one had any thoughts of killing ice dragons. Although there might be some 8-star king with the strength of a monarch, the ice dragon realm was the home of ice dragons. The extreme cold climate was a great help to their battle strength. In addition, ice dragons were very fast. If they retreated, it would be very difficult to chase after them. No one dared to chase after ice dragons in the ice dragon realm. Ice dragons had the strength to fight beyond their ranks. A high-level monarch rank ice dragon was not something these high-level monarchs could deal with. If a monarch rank ice dragon appeared, it could instantly kill this group of explorers. When he was tired from flying, Night Sorrow would return to the 8-dragon cauldron to brew a pot of hot tea to ease the tense atmosphere. At the core of the ice dragon realm, there was an ancient palace carved out of ice. The palace was thousands of feet tall and took up an area of hundreds of miles. It was majestic and simple. It had an oppressive aura. At the head of the palace was an ice dragon that was bigger than a normal mountain. This ice dragon was different from the ones that had been scouted because this ice dragon's white body had traces of golden light. At this moment, this ice dragon's body was slowly wriggling. Then, the huge dragon raised its head. As it opened and closed its mouth, some light waves rippled in all directions. %ZS At this moment, all the ice dragon race had sensed that there were intruders. Because the ice dragon race had sensed that some of their clansmen had fallen, they had informed all the ice dragon race to be careful. After informing his clansmen, the ice dragon wriggled and went back to sleep. Night Sorrow did not know. He was still moving forward, but many teams had been attacked. The ice dragons had started a large-scale patrol. The sleeping ice dragons had woken up to patrol their territory. The ice dragon's movements had hindered the movements of many teams. The sleeping ice dragon was relatively less dangerous, but the awakened ice dragon was terrifying. It was extremely aggressive and had high combat strength. If it was alone, it would be fine, but if it was a pair of ice dragons, it would be even more terrifying. At this moment, at the foot of an ice mountain, a young man wearing a snow-white fur coat was watching a group of people collect materials. After 2 hours of hard work, he had led his team to kill an ice dragon. This ice dragon had the cultivation of a 7-star king. As long as he could hold it off, the others would be able to kill it. My lord, the collection of the ice dragon has been dealt with. Please go and collect the materials. A man came over to collect the materials. The man nodded. He was Tangbo, a disciple of the Black-Yellow Great World's Black-Yellow City. The Black-Yellow Great World had once obtained the skeleton of an ice dragon in the ice dragon realm. Naturally, they had the most detailed map. They were going in a straight line, the most direct and least dangerous route. My ancestor had once obtained the skeleton of an ice dragon. Therefore, there is an ice dragon formation in the Black-Yellow City. If we have the chance this time and can obtain the skeleton of an ice dragon, the great defensive formation of the Black-Yellow City will become the infinite double dragon formation. Tangbo's eyes looked toward the depths of the ice dragon realm. My lord, you can do it. The guard said. It won't be that easy. The ancestral land of the ice dragons is surrounded by high-level ice dragons. There are many monarch-rank ice dragons. We can't defeat them, so we can only move forward while avoiding them. However, since we are here, we must work hard. When we go back, we will go to the profound ice river. That is the habitat of the profound ice unicorn tiger. Tangbo walked to the materials and collected them along with the corpse of the ice dragon. Profound Ice River. My lord, are you planning to hunt down the profound ice unicorn tiger? Tangbo's subordinates asked one after another. The profound ice unicorn tiger and the ice dragon are the two overlords of the ice dragon realm. The profound ice unicorn tiger skeleton is also very useful. If we can obtain the ice dragon king skeleton, we can arrange the everlasting dual dragon array in the profound yellow city. If we can obtain the profound ice unicorn tiger king skeleton, we can arrange the profound yellow dragon tiger array. Let's not talk about it anymore, let's go. Tangbo waved his hand and continued to move forward. Night Sorrow walked in the wind and snow every day. Although the profound ice river was extremely cold, the feeling of rushing and whistling was very strong. It made one's state of mind unconsciously open up. Night Sorrow's speed was very fast. After all, he had 3 attributes that could increase his speed. Along the way, Night Sorrow used the 9 regions origin to support his soul power to explore. This way, he could explore a larger area. Along the way, Night Sorrow dodged the ice dragons twice. He discovered them in advance and hid in the 8-dragon cauldron. On this day, when Night Sorrow was making tea and resting, his body shook. His aura also changed a little. Standing up, Night Sorrow waved his arm. With a breakthrough in his cultivation, the original 30% limit of the will of nothingness had broken through the barrier of the peak 30% and entered the 40% stage, which meant that he had entered the 4-star Sovereign King realm. This came at the right time. Strength was very important in entering the central region of the Ice Dragon realm. The more strength one had, the more ability one had. After drinking the soul-nourishing tea, Night Sorrow's original body continued to cultivate and comprehend the will. In the past few years, when Night Sorrow's original body cultivated his true chi, he had been drinking the soul-nourishing tea. While nourishing his soul, it also increased his soul power. This was also why Night Sorrow's soul power could detect the ice dragons, but the ice dragons couldn't detect him. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the 8-dragon cauldron and familiarized himself with his cultivation after advancing. He wanted to turn the cultivation and realm brought by the advancement into his fighting strength. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, some powerful people also entered the central region. Ling Ju led his people and flew along the profound ice river. His heart was filled with anger. If Night Sorrow hadn't destroyed his teleportation array and tricked him, he would have reached the central region of the Ice Dragon realm. But now? It would take a long time. Besides, Wu Shan was his most loyal subordinate. In the end, he was also killed by Night Sorrow. Chapter 1241. Genius remembers love in 1 second. Go/small. Say Network, for you to read the wonderful novel. It's available everywhere. It's much more stable than ordinary websites and updates faster. It's all text and has no advertisements. Night Sorrow also remembered the name Ling Ju. If someone wanted to kill him, he would definitely react. Although he couldn't fight back now, he would remember anyone who wanted to harm him. After cultivating in the 8-dragon cauldron for 7 days, Night Sorrow came out and continued to move forward. Compared to 7 days ago, his strength was on a completely different level. If he was at his current strength, it would have been easier to kill Wu Shan. On the bank of the mysterious ice river, Night Sorrow continued to fly. His body was surrounded by the halo emitted by the 8-dragon cauldron. This was the power of a protective magic treasure with a device spirit. It could be activated by itself without the help of its owner. What it burned was its energy. In terms of speed, Night Sorrow had also improved because his cultivation foundation had deepened. After traveling for half a month, Night Sorrow found a battle, but he avoided it from a distance. It was 2 ice dragons attacking a team. The 10-member team was very strong, but the 2 ice dragons were even more ferocious. The battle was very fierce. The 10-member team had no chance of killing the 2 ice dragons. At most, they could protect themselves. It was hard to say whether they would be injured or not. Night Sorrow had never seen this group of people before. The team he had never seen might be from the Black-Yellow Great World and the Shinwu Great World. After avoiding this group of people, Night Sorrow continued to fly. In the battle, Tang Bo glanced in the direction where Night Sorrow had left. He also found Night Sorrow. He was at the peak of the 8-star king realm, and his soul power was also very strong. Therefore, when Night Sorrow found them, he also found Night Sorrow. However, before he could find anything, Night Sorrow disappeared from his detection range. Read the whole article. Let's retreat. Unable to kill the 2 ice dragons, Tang Bo gave the order. The 2 ice dragons represented resources, very rare resources. However, if the stalemate continued, not only would they not be able to kill them, they would also be easily injured. As such, Tang Bo did not plan to continue fighting. This battle was not his intention. You've reached the ice dragon's territory, and you still want to leave? All of you will die here. An ice dragon let out a buzzing sound that shook the ice mountain, and its attacks became even more violent. At this moment, Tang Bo waved his hand and a formation plate flew out. It was a trapping formation. Then, he led his men and quickly retreated. Night Sorrow could only refine formation plates, but some of the members of large forces could buy formation plates with abundant resources. Tang Bo led his men out of the ice dragon's territory. After arriving at a relatively safe place, he let everyone rest. Everyone, be careful. There are other people in this area, Tang Bo said. My lord, are you saying that someone took the same route as us? Asked one after another. It shouldn't be. It might be a coincidence. Our map was drawn by our ancestors after we entered the Ice Dragon realm. It's definitely unique. Others might have maps, but they won't be the same as ours. However, it's not easy to come here. We have to be careful. If we meet other teams, we won't look for trouble or cause trouble, but we're not afraid of trouble either. The others nodded. They knew that this was Tang Bo's philosophy. Tang Bo also had a good reputation in the mysterious Yellow City. Yi Shang didn't know if he had been discovered or if he was flying at top speed. He was like a wisp of smoke in the wind and snow, disappearing in an instant. He didn't change his route and just flew along the profound ice river. Although this wasn't the shortest route, it was still a relatively easy route. There was still a lot of time, so Yi Shang wouldn't take the risk just to save some time. Night Sorrow also knew that he was at the forefront of the team in the world of reincarnation. However, compared to the practitioners in his world, it was hard to say. Everyone entered through different entrances, and the distance was also different. After advancing for half a month, Night Sorrow found a battle. It was an ice dragon and a black tortoise fighting. Night Sorrow knew that this was a fight for territory. Night Sorrow felt that the black tortoise should be the last to arrive. It did not understand the situation and ran into the ice dragon's territory. However, Night Sorrow felt that the black tortoise was stronger because of its strong defense. However, Night Sorrow still left. In this kind of battle, it was difficult for both sides to suffer. There was a possibility of a fisherman benefiting from the battle. #Yong Ziu plus free look winky face. Little, speak. First of all, the black tortoise's defense was strong. It was difficult for the ice dragon to break through. If the black tortoise won, then the ice dragon was faster, and the black tortoise could not be killed. Without any hesitation, Night Sorrow left. He was worried that the impact of the battle would be great. There would be other monsters coming. What if there was another ice dragon? Whether it was the black tortoise or the ice dragon, they were both huge monsters in front of Night Sorrow. There was no possibility for him to kill them. Night Sorrow knew that the further he went, the more difficult it would be. In fact, at this time, there was no difference between a high-level king and a mid-level king. When encountering a battle, you would have to retreat. The only difference was that the high-level king's ability to survive was stronger. Ling Ju also entered the central area. He was a little later than Night Sorrow. Even though he was familiar with the way, he did not dare to rush without any scruples. Therefore, it was inevitable that he would be delayed. 3 years. In the blink of an eye, they had been out for 3 years, but they still hadn't reached their destination. This was the longest time Yi Shang had ever spent exploring, and this was with a map. Without a map, Yi Shang felt that this trip would take 8 to 10 years. Feeling tired, Night Sorrow entered the 8-dragon cauldron to rest. After drinking a pot of hot tea, Night Sorrow felt much better. Looking at the sleeping Ice Qilin, Night Sorrow shook his head. The Ice Qilin's mind was a little slow. After drinking the tea, Night Sorrow shook the concentric crystal. Datura, who was connected to the concentric crystal, was in the White Bone Hall. How did you have time to take the initiative to contact me? Datura asked. I thought you were in Sky City, so I asked about the situation. Night Sorrow said with a smile. I came back to take a look. I will go to Sky City later. Everything is fine in Sky City. Don't worry. Be careful. I heard from the spies that Ling Ju from Sky Peak sect really hates you. He sent people to inquire about your situation, but they were all trash who came to Sky Profound World. I ignored them. As long as they are not monarchs, it is fine for them to enter Sky Profound World. As for causing trouble in Seven Nights City, I will kill them one by one. Datura said. He hates me, but I am not done with him. First, he wanted to kill me. If he can't, it means that he is not capable enough. Now that he has the intention to kill me, I will not let this matter go. I am not capable now, but once I am, I will not let this matter go. Night Sorrow was still angry. This matter was provoked by Ling Ju first. You still need time now. Don't worry too much. Just kill them in the future. However, it is true that Sky Peak sect is difficult to deal with. No one in the world of reincarnation wants to provoke them. Their inheritance is very scary. Datura reminded Night Sorrow. Aluo, my master also said the same thing. They don't have a Sky Master. Why are so many people afraid of them? Night Sorrow was puzzled. Chapter 1242. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little. I'll give you a wonderful novel to read. Night Sorrow didn't ask any further. Back then, Qing Emperor didn't say anything. Now, Datura didn't explain clearly. That meant it wasn't suitable for him to know. We don't want to provoke them, but if they dare to mess around, then kill them. I'm not afraid. Your master isn't afraid either, Datura said. I understand. If we give in because of pressure, as a cultivator, we won't be able to face our own hearts, Night Sorrow said. Be careful. If you can't do it, come back. You've already gained a lot. Come back and slowly cultivate. Everything won't be a problem, Datura said. I know. You don't have to worry. I've refined a lot of arrayed discs and poisons. I can't kill the ice dragon, but it won't be that easy to kill me either, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Datura nodded. She was worried about Night Sorrow, but it wasn't that she didn't have the ability to analyze. She knew that Night Sorrow's safety shouldn't be a problem because Night Sorrow had prepared a lot of life-saving methods. Then, Night Sorrow and Datura broke the concentric crystal. He really didn't have to worry about anything now. His family's cultivation wasn't a problem either. After his cultivation increased, Night Sorrow left the space-time pagoda in the city in the sky. The people around him could continue to speed up their cultivation. As for the spirit stones, Night Sorrow left a portion of them in the space-time pagoda. It was definitely enough. Night Sorrow drank a pot of tea. He felt that he had a chance to trick Ling Ju again because the teleportation crystal that he had destroyed was still in Night Sorrow's hands. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided to try now and see if he could trick Ling Ju. Night Sorrow took out the teleportation array disc and removed the original teleportation crystal on it. Then, he installed Ling Ju's teleportation crystal. After it was installed, Night Sorrow saw that it was lit up. After taking the teleportation crystal, Night Sorrow smiled because Ling Ju had given him another chance. Since Ling Ju was investigating him, he had to continue his enmity with him. He would do whatever he could to deal with people like Ling Ju. Ling Ju was using a high-grade teleportation stone, so he couldn't use the teleportation array disc. If he did, the array disc would shatter. Night Sorrow came out of the 8-dragon cauldron and set up an illusion array. Then, he set up an advanced teleportation array and embedded a teleportation crystal. Night Sorrow was worried that something unexpected would happen, so he put in an extra teleportation crystal. Then, he took out the death trap array disc and prepared for battle before starting the teleportation. As the scenery changed, Night Sorrow appeared in an illusion array. With no one guarding it, Night Sorrow felt pretty good. This meant that he could destroy Ling Ju's teleportation array safely. Night Sorrow was sure that this teleportation array had not been torn down. Ling Ju had already come in twice, otherwise, he would have torn it down directly. Night Sorrow did not do anything unnecessary, and did not use any backup plans. He directly set up a spirit explosion array beside the teleportation crystal of the teleportation array, then activated the teleportation array and teleported back to the core area of the Ice Dragon realm. Original Head Zero turning to his own teleportation array, Night Sorrow looked at the grey crystal. Night Sorrow knew that it was done. If Ling Ju wanted to go back, he would have to run back. If he wanted to use the teleportation array to go back, it would be impossible. After rearranging the teleportation array disc, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. He was currently in a rather happy mood, because he had vented his anger. Although he had not solved the root of the problem, he had still tricked Ling Ju. If Ling Ju's reaction was slow and he did not leave when the time was close, he could only rely on the teleportation array to stay in the Ice Dragon realm for tens of millions of years. He could only leave when the Ice Dragon realm opened again. It was hard to say if he could survive until the next time. Night Sorrow did not dare to delay the time to trick Ling Ju, because no one knew when Ling Ju would leave. He could not delay his exploration of the Ice Dragon realm because of this. In addition, he felt that it was not worth it. It was not worth it to delay his own development for Ling Ju. Night Sorrow continued to fly. As he flew, he used his soul power to investigate the surroundings to the greatest extent. He did not want to accidentally barge into the ice dragon's lair. At that time, he would have to run if he was unlucky. Night Sorrow advanced, and so did the others. They were all avoiding risks. Night Sorrow still had some special life-saving methods, but the others might not have them. Disciples from large factions had abundant resources, but their elders did not care about the training between life and death. This was because everyone knew that cultivators who did not experience wind and rain were actually birds that could not fly. They were trash. The Qin Emperor's guards and the blood-robed guards were also advancing. Their strength could be considered valiant. Night Sorrow was still the same. Every time he advanced, he would set up a low-level teleportation array as his retreat point. As they advanced, the situation became worse. Because they were close to the core of the ice dragon realm, the climate was also extremely cold. It was not suitable for demon beasts that were not of the ice attribute to survive. The ice dragon realm was vast and boundless. It was a high-level world, but it could not stop King from exploring with a map and a goal. It was normal for them to be close to the core area in 3 years. The Ice Dragon Abyss was the core of the Ice Dragon realm. The extreme cold air and extreme cold currents were the products of the Ice Dragon Abyss. Speaking of extreme cold currents, Night Sorrow had encountered them twice, but he had dodged them both times. What made Night Sorrow envious was that there were many top-grade ores in the extreme cold currents. There were extremely rare ones, but he could not obtain them. This made Night Sorrow feel very conflicted. Those were top-grade materials that were shot out from the core of the world, but he could only watch and could not collect them. This made Night Sorrow's heart itch, but he could not do anything about it. Because in the extreme cold currents, even the 8th rank Ice Dragon and Profound Ice Tiger could not withstand them. Looking at the extreme cold currents again, Night Sorrow had an idea. He wanted to know if the 8 Dragon Cauldron could withstand the extreme cold currents. If it could, then there would be a chance. Night Sorrow asked the 8 Dragon Cauldron Spirit. The 8 Dragon Cauldron Spirit told Night Sorrow that as long as there were enough spirit stones to burn, it could stand at the edge of the extreme cold currents and not be swept away. However, it did not have the ability to collect things. After hearing the 8 Dragon Cauldron's answer, Night Sorrow thought for a while and entered the 8 Dragon Cauldron. He planned to refine something. He did not have the ability to use his soul power to collect things inside the 8 Dragon Cauldron, because his soul power would be frozen by the extreme cold currents and could not be used flexibly. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided to go all out. He decided to use the damaged ice dragon's skeleton as a refining tool. Night Sorrow took out the sky splitter and started to cut. He cut off a piece of dragon skin and then pulled out the ice dragon's tendon. He used the ice dragon's skin to make a net. After waving it a few times, Night Sorrow felt that it was okay. Normal tools would be frozen in the extreme cold currents and would be destroyed in a moment. However, the ice dragon's body was not a problem. It was ice attributed and had a high resistance to cold. Night Sorrow connected the ice dragon's tendon and made a rope that was 300 meters long. In front of it was a net made of ice dragon's skin. Chapter 1243. The extreme cold current was produced by the Ice Dragon Abyss, so Night Sorrow headed towards the Ice Dragon Abyss without worrying about missing it. Half a month later, the extreme cold current appeared. Night Sorrow judged the direction and width of the extreme cold current and didn't hide far away. Instead, he entered the Dragon Cauldron and changed his position. He couldn't get close to the extreme cold current because it was already very risky for him. If he got too close and something happened, he wouldn't even be able to run. Night Sorrow controlled the Dragon Cauldron to the edge of the extreme cold current's trajectory and waited. The extreme cold current was extremely fast and arrived at Night Sorrow's side in a moment. However, Night Sorrow's judgment was very accurate. The Dragon Cauldron was at the edge of the extreme cold current. Under Night Sorrow's command, the Dragon Cauldron shone brightly and firmly pressed down on the ground, controlling it so that the extreme cold current wouldn't sweep it away. Genuine first hair Night Sorrow's soul power erupted and probed within the extreme cold current. Even if it consumed a lot of soul power, even if his soul power would be frozen, Night Sorrow didn't care. He just wanted to find the location of the top quality ore. After probing, Night Sorrow found a small piece of spatial brass, which was the material used to refine formation discs. He told the dragon cauldron not to block him. Night Sorrow's arm shook and the ice dragon web was infused with energy and thrown out. Night Sorrow's energy was divided into different levels. The outside was time energy, which could resist the freezing of the extreme cold current. After all, the time attribute was second only to the supreme attribute. It had a great effect on speed and time. The inside of the time energy was void Jun Qi. After the ice dragon web left the dragon cauldron, it flew towards the spatial brass, or more accurately, the high-quality spatial brass. In the beginning, the ice dragon rubber string net's speed was quite fast. However, as the ice dragon rubber string net continued to freeze, its speed began to decrease. Fortunately, Night Sorrow had predicted this, and his timing was quite accurate. Just as the ice dragon rubber string net's energy was about to run out, the ice dragon rubber string net managed to reach its target and capture most of the spatial copper essence. Night Sorrow shook his arm and pulled the ice dragon skin tendon net back. He threw the spatial copper essence into the dragon cauldron. Night Sorrow continued to stare at the extreme cold current. However, his condition was deteriorating. It was mainly because he had consumed a lot of soul power. The soul power that he sent out was being consumed by the extreme cold current. Night Sorrow continued to cast the net. This time, Night Sorrow caught the 10,000-year heavy silver. When the third net was released, it was 2 large pieces of king-grade teleportation crystals. At this time, the extreme cold current had passed. At this time, Night Sorrow's condition was extremely bad. Even if the extreme cold current hadn't passed, he couldn't continue moving because his soul power had been exhausted. Tired. Truly tired and exhausted. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of hot tea. As he drank, the concentric crystal in his sleeve vibrated. Night Sorrow took it out and poured energy into the concentric crystal, connecting it with Datura. Bastard, it's been so long and you still haven't called me. You don't look good. Datura noticed that Night Sorrow's complexion wasn't very good. This was the after effect of Night Sorrow's soul power consumption. I just dealt with some matters, so I consumed a lot of soul power. Night Sorrow rubbed his forehead and said with a smile. He was already used to Datura's gentleness and fiery temper. You consumed a lot of soul power? Did you fight? Datura's eyes were filled with worry. No, I just collected some materials. Here, look. Night Sorrow spun the concentric crystal and let Datura see the materials he collected. Spatial essence copper, 10,000-year heavy silver, high-grade realm teleportation array stone. Did you snatch these from the ice dragon? Datura was very surprised, because the value of these materials was extremely high. No, I got them from the extreme cold current. Just now, so my soul power was somewhat exhausted. Night Sorrow said. Didn't the letter say that the extreme cold current is more dangerous than the ice dragon? How did you get it? Datura was a little curious, because it was very difficult to do. The extreme cold current was one of the greatest dangers in the ice dragon realm. Night Sorrow shook the ice dragon skin tendon net in his hand, and then explained how he got the materials. Datura's face was full of praise, because this was too difficult, and it was also something that others could not replicate, because no one else had the ice dragon skin tendon net and other tools could not resist the extreme cold current's extreme cold, so there was no chance of grabbing the top quality materials. She knew that Night Sorrow did not need to rely on other adventures, just this one move would allow him to obtain a large amount of treasures. I plan to continue forward. If I encounter an extreme cold current, I'll fish for some materials and rush to the vicinity of the ice dragon abyss. If there aren't many extreme cold current in the ice dragon abyss, I'll go there and wait. Night Sorrow told Datura his thoughts. This method is feasible, but you have to be careful. There are too many opponents, and you can't even tell if they're humans or dogs. Don't be tricked by others. Datura was worried that Night Sorrow did not have enough experience in the Jianghu. After all, Night Sorrow was too young, and might not even have a fraction of the lifespan of others. Tricking. Aluo, a few days ago, I tricked someone. It's that Ling Ju. Didn't he send people to investigate me? I went and tricked him. Night Sorrow told Datura about how he tricked Ling Ju. That's too ruthless. Last time, the teleportation circle he went to was destroyed by you, and he had to fly for a long time, wasting a lot of time. This time, it's even worse. If he didn't find out in time, it would be troublesome when he goes back in the future. Datura shook his head, and felt a little sad for Ling Ju. After offending Night Sorrow, he was continuously tricked. It could be said that he was in a miserable state. He wanted to kill me, and he even investigated me. It's an irreconcilable grudge. There's no need for me to be polite with him. I don't have the ability to kill him, but if I had the ability, I would have killed him right now. Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. Let's do it like that. Before the Battle of Wits, we have to deal with the B*ST* road. Others may spoil him, but we won't. Datura supported Night Sorrow's point of view. Thank you, Aluo. Night Sorrow nodded at Datura. He knew that Datura had done a lot for him, and he supported him in everything. You don't have to be so polite. Are you tired? Then you should recover first, and I'll talk to you when you're free. Datura felt a little sorry for Night Sorrow, because Night Sorrow was indeed in a difficult situation. It could be said that he was risking his life. I'm a little tired, really tired. But isn't this the way to live? It's nothing. Then I'll recover first and talk to you later. Night Sorrow nodded. After that, Night Sorrow began to recover. It was very uncomfortable to use up too much of his soul power. After a day's time, Night Sorrow recovered to his peak state, and then continued to fly, following the mysterious ice river towards the ice dragon abyss. At this time, every team was advancing carefully, because the ice dragon was very active, and if they were discovered, they would be unlucky. The ice dragon was very fast, and if they were discovered by the ice dragon, it would be very difficult to escape, and even more difficult to defeat and kill. Therefore, when some teams were discovered by the ice dragon, they would be weaker, and would use their clones to block it, giving the others a chance to escape. Ling Ju was the same now, and the number of people in his team was decreasing. Chapter 1244. The team was small. Ling Ju thought for a while and decided that even if he had to use a lot of people, he had to go to the core area of the Ice Dragon realm to find the Ice Dragon bones. With this idea, Ling Ju planned to go back and gather more people. When the teleportation array was set up and the teleportation crystal was embedded, Ling Ju roared angrily when the teleportation crystal was black. If the teleportation crystal was dark, there could only be one situation. The corresponding teleportation array was destroyed and could no longer be teleported. After taking 2 deep breaths, Ling Ju calmed down and thought for a while. He felt that there were 2 possibilities. One was that the teleportation array was accidentally destroyed by the demonic beasts, and the other was that Night Sorrow followed the destroyed teleportation array and teleported over to destroy his teleportation array. Ling Ju asked the subordinates beside him if there were any clones with teleportation crystals. If the original body went to the Ice Dragon realm to set up a teleportation array and connect, it would save a lot of time. But after asking, Ling Ju was disappointed because no one had made such an arrangement. Those who had teleportation crystals were either with their clones or with their original bodies. They could not set up a teleportation array to connect with each other. Ling Ju was helpless in this situation. He could only make arrangements. He took out a teleportation crystal and gave it to 2 subordinates to set up a teleportation array. The other was for those who had their original bodies outside to pass down his order to bring people into the ice dragon realm to set up a teleportation array and then rush over. Giving such an order would cause great losses. Only Ling Ju had the map. The chances of the others rushing over were not high. In addition, it was unknown whether they could return or reach the entrance of the ice dragon realm. Everyone knew how dangerous the ice dragon realm was and how many demonic beasts there were blocking the way. Ling Ju set up a teleportation array here and told his subordinates that if the matter was successful, they should crush his communication crystal and he would return. Night Sorrow destroyed Ling Ju's teleportation array, which was equivalent to cutting off Ling Ju's path. Ling Ju's plan could not be carried out, which would waste a lot of time and put him in more danger. Night Sorrow continued forward. When he encountered an extreme cold current, he would use the dragon cauldron and the ice dragon web to obtain resources. These resources were the capital to settle down in the future. Night Sorrow felt that this situation was good. The ice dragon would not appear in the path of the extreme cold current. The ice dragon was also afraid of the extreme cold current. In other words, when he reached the key area of the ice dragon realm, he only needed to face the danger of the extreme cold current and the ice dragon. If he avoided the extreme cold current, he could enter the territory of the ice dragon realm. Up. If he did not avoid the extreme cold current, he would have to face the extreme cold current's extreme cold current to kill. With the help of the hundreds of thousands of life Holy Spirit stones. He. Two. With gains came motivation. After collecting the resources in the extreme cold current and recovering for a while, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. His goal was the Ice Dragon Abyss. The Ice Dragon Abyss was the core of the Ice Dragon realm. In fact, it was the place where the origin was manifested. It was also the place where the will of heaven and earth was the strongest. The ice dragons lived near the Ice Dragon Abyss, and the Ice Dragon ancestral land was also there. As for the remains of the Ice Dragon, there would definitely be some. The Ice Dragon realm had existed for countless years. The Ice Dragon realm had extremely high talent. Living in the Ice Dragon realm, which was suitable for their growth, it was naturally easy for them to achieve great things. Normally, entering the king's realm meant that one would not die. It was extremely difficult for the giant-level ice dragon to fall. However, the Ice Dragon realm had the trials of wind and fire. The trials of wind and fire were the most fatal for the Ice Dragon race. After one trials of wind and fire, there were no more demonic beasts in the Ice Dragon realm. They were all killed by the trials of wind and fire. However, such a great tribulation would appear for a long time every time. Therefore, the demonic beasts in the Ice Dragon realm could still recuperate. Otherwise, their race would be exterminated. Night Sorrow headed towards the Ice Dragon Abyss. Of course, he still followed the profound ice river. This was the most obvious sign. Although it was possible to take a detour, Night Sorrow was not willing to go straight. The risk was too great. Extreme cold currents continued to appear. Night Sorrow naturally went to plunder the extreme cold currents every time they appeared. Every time he reaped a high harvest, Night Sorrow dispelled his thoughts of rushing back. No matter what he gained in the Ice Dragon Abyss, he could rely on the extreme cold currents to obtain a large amount of resources. The previous harvest of the Ice Dragon's corpse allowed Night Sorrow to obtain the Ice Dragon's skin tendon net. It allowed him to have such an opportunity. It was very difficult for others to obtain the Ice Dragon's corpse. Even if they did, they probably wouldn't have any ideas about the extreme cold currents. This was because the words extreme cold currents were a type of pressure and terror. No one was willing to face this. As he continued to move forward, Night Sorrow got closer and closer to the core area of the Ice Dragon realm. The density of the cold currents also increased. It was not that. It was because Night Sorrow was also getting closer and closer to the Ice Dragon Abyss. Therefore, he could encounter some of the extreme cold currents that did not disperse the radiation. On this day, when Night Sorrow continued to move forward after drinking tea, the extreme cold currents appeared. Night Sorrow informed the dragon cauldron to continue working. The dragon cauldron enlarged and stabilized itself so that it would not be swept away by the cold currents. Night Sorrow began to investigate. With this investigation, his expression changed because he discovered a huge monster. Ice dragon. There was an ice dragon in the extreme cold currents. This gave Night Sorrow a fright. How could an ice dragon appear in the extreme cold currents? After careful investigation, Night Sorrow discovered that this was not the case. This ice dragon's body was rolling in the extreme cold currents, but it was very stiff. It maintained a rolling posture. It was not a living ice dragon. It was the skeleton of an ice dragon. What to do? What should I do? Night Sorrow was a little anxious. He could not miss the ice dragon skeleton, but it was not that easy for him to collect that huge monster. He could not let it go. Night Sorrow made a decision. This was an opportunity. Even if this ice dragon skeleton was not of the ice dragon level, it was still an incredible treasure. If it was not damaged, it could be used as the core of a formation. The effect was not as powerful as the ice dragon skeleton, but its power could not be underestimated. If it was damaged, it would still be a top-grade material. Essence blood, dragon tendons, and dragon bones were all treasures. Night Sorrow and Night Sorrow also urgently needed essence blood. Some thoughts occurred in an instant. The energy in Night Sorrow's body erupted. His arms shook and the ice dragon's tendon net flew out of the dragon cauldron. Then, it wrapped around the ice dragon skeleton. Its target was the sharp claws of the ice dragon skeleton. Night Sorrow was not afraid that the ice dragon's tendon net would be scratched. It did not matter whether it was broken or not. As long as it could wrap around the ice dragon skeleton, it would be enough. If he could pull the ice dragon skeleton into the dragon cauldron, then he would have a harvest. This time, Night Sorrow used all his strength. The ice dragon's tendon net flew at an extreme speed and directly flew to one of the claws of the ice dragon's front body. 5th update. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.